It is 6:30 PM on May 4th, 2026, and this is the regular meeting of the Monroe Township Planning Board. Notice of this meeting was given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act, and a copy was posted on the second floor bulletin board in Town Hall and on the Township's website. Be advised, no new item of business will be started after 10:30 PM, and the meeting shall terminate no later than 11 PM. Audio and video of this meeting is being recorded in accordance with Ordinance 56-2024. The meeting is being broadcasted live on the Township's YouTube channel, and a link to this meeting will be posted on the Township website for the public to view at their convenience. The exterior doors of the building automatically lock at 7:45 PM. If you leave the building during the meeting, you will be locked out, so please have someone accompany you to let you back in.
We'll do the flag salute, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll have roll call.
Ms. Fox? Here. Mr. Frederelli?
Here.
Mr. Giacomucci is excused. Mr. Hessel? Ms. Kennedy?
Here.
Mr. Kozak?
Here.
Mr. Laughlin? Is excused. Mr. Murray is excused. Mr. O'Brien?
Here.
Mr. Young?
Here.
And Mayor Wolf is excused. Mr. Campbell?
Present.
Ms. Pellegrini? Here. Mr. Dockney?
Here.
Thank you.
We'll have the solicitor swear in our board professionals.
For the record, would you state your name?
Chris Stockman.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide this board this evening is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to start with number one, WSP 226, Gardner State Outdoor LLC, site plan waiver.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Chris Wisniewski. I'm with the law firm of Parker McKay, and I represent Garden State Outdoor for this evening's site plan waiver application. The property that we're here for tonight is 324-328 Berlin Cross Keys Road. That's Block 101, Lot 302, and that's located in the Business Park Zoning District. You may know this property as the shopping center with the Sherwin-Williams currently in it, and right beside it is the Sam's Club gas station. So just a little bit of background. On March 26th of last year, 2025, the Township Council approved ordinance O:7-2025, and that amended section 175-91.2, and that's the township's billboard ordinance. That ordinance, among other things, created a billboard corridor. Actually, it identified two billboard corridors within the township. One of the corridors is in between Falcon Way, which is the light right before the cinder bar, and it proceeds down to the corner of the Black Horse Pike. And the billboard that we're here for tonight will be in that corridor. So what that means is that it's permitted use, and what we are proposing is in total conformance with 175-91.2. So the location is permitted. The height, the size, the lighting, the spacing, and the setback are all in conformance. But what your ordinance instructs is that any structure will be needs to be pursuant to a site plan requirement. So that's why we're here tonight. What we're going to demonstrate is two things. One, usually the items that are typically required in the site plan just simply aren't present. Things such as, parking, circulation, employees' hours of operation. And then also, there is a current major site plan for the property already in place. So, we believe that the addition of the billboard is a very modest change for what is there now, and doesn't really warrant a full site plan for the site. So that's my introduction. We can, you want to have Adam come up, or, yeah, so let's,
Can we get everybody sworn in that's going to testify?
excuse me?
Can we get everybody
Yep.
sworn in that's going to testify?
So, gentlemen, for the record, would you state your name?
Adam Burkett. Jason Schuler.
Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide the board is the truth and nothing but the truth?
So I'd like to ask Mr. Burkett a few questions. Mr. Burkett, can you state your position with Garden State Outdoor?
Managing member.
Okay. And for erecting this sign, can you just give us a brief description of the level of disturbance that'll be required to install the sign?
There essentially shouldn't be a whole lot of disturbance because the way we do foundations today is we hammer the column into the ground.
Can you please talk into the mic so the recording will pick it up?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that's better. Essentially, what we do now is we hammer the column into the ground, so there's literally no disturbance to the actual ground around it. And we've done this on probably 20 locations around the state, and it's pretty amazing. The engineers like it better because we go a little bit deeper. But essentially what happens is we'll hook a Viber hammer up to the column, and we shake as we push it down. And that way there's zero disturbance. There'll be no excavating, no concrete, no hauling off of dirt, anything of that nature.
And after the sign is erected, what will be the frequency of visits by contractors or employees or anyone to the site?
Essentially, it'll probably be about once every 2 months, just to service it and make sure it's functioning properly.
And these visitors, will they require any off-street parking?
No, they will not.
So we don't have issues with circulation or anything like that within the parking lot that's adjacent to the site?
No, we do not.
The utilities that will be required, will these all be underground?
Yes, they'll all be placed underground, and essentially we will tap right into a line that already exists underground there now.
Are you proposing any buffering or drainage changes to what is there now for the structure?
No, we are not.
And is there any waste generated by the sign?
No, there's not.
Will there be any signage in connection with your company or anything not on the billboard, but any type of identification signage for Garden State Outdoor or anything else involved with the sign?
Chances are there'll be one of our nameplates on each side.
Okay, and are there any safety issues that you would need to address with regard to the sign?
No, there's not. If any come up throughout the process, we will address them immediately.
So, ladies and gentlemen, typically when site plan issues arise, as you know, they deal with drainage, lighting, parking, circulation, trash enclosures, all things of that nature. Once this structure is in the ground, it's pretty self-sufficient and should not disturb any of the requirements of the current site plan in place. We are submitting that the actual impact to the current site plan is modest at best, and therefore, we should a waiver would be appropriate here. So with that, I know we'll have some technical questions as far as possibly lighting and so forth. And I'd like to have Mr. Shulo speak now.
Good evening, everyone. So I want to just clarify one thing before I start into detailed testimony, which will be short, I promise. When Chris mentioned, oh, you want me to give credentials or anything?
So,
Good asked.
first of all, there's a document on the easement, on the
Yes.
easel, correct?
I'll refer to that in a moment.
So can you
but
describe that
yes,
for
I
me?
will.
What document, who prepared it, what's the title?
Sure. Sure. This is a site rendering that we prepared specifically for this hearing, and it's generally a colored version of the site plan submitted with the application. So what you'll see on this is the zoning schedule in the top left corner, a site plan view which is almost identical to what's on the submitted plan with a little bit of color added for the sign location in the corner here on the upper left. On the right side here, we have an example of what the decorative column that we propose will look like. That was also on the plan that was submitted. And along the bottom of the sheet here shows the corridor of Berlin Cross Keys Road. That's the section that Chris mentioned is the sign corridor.
Okay, so I'm going to refer to that as A1.
Right,
The
that's
sheet,
today's
is-
date.
if you can just mark that on it.
Yep.
It wasn't submitted, he said it was part of.
Yeah, there's a zoning table, and then there's 3 photographs on A1. My recollection is that you did submit a plan.
Yes.
Is the plan essentially,
The only thing that's different on this
Yeah,
is
how's it
there's
different?
color added to the site plan view, so you can see the existing conditions. And then this view was not part of the application. It shows the longer or wider section
area.
of the corridor.
that's fine. Now let's talk about you. What do you do for a living?
I'm a professional engineer, professional planner licensed in New Jersey, specializing in land development applications. Been practicing professionally for 27 years now, licensed for 22. As I said, focused on land development projects. I've been before this board
You've been accepted
before.
before by boards like this as an expert in
This
civil
board
engineering
and many,
planning?
many others, yes.
I have no objection if the board accepts the witness as an expert in the area of planning and civil engineering. You're accepted.
Thank you. I think I should start with that. I apologize.
All right.
Trying to move quick so you guys don't have to sit here with us too long. Not that we don't like seeing you, but obviously you have other stuff you have to do. So I wanted to clarify before we get into the stuff that when Chris mentioned that there's an existing site plan, I want to make it understood that it's developed already. There's not a pending application, there's not a current application. It's that site that was developed a long while back. We're just adding the sign in the corner. So the purpose of this exhibit was to show that the standards that are listed in the ordinance, which are related to location generally, that they're fully met. So just to kind of get bearings, I mentioned that this is a site plan view. So that site is shown down in the more left side of the site here. It's about 1,192 feet to the Black Horse Pike and 4,400 feet over to this little jug handle they call Wilby Road that drops out to exit 41 on the expressway. So the dimensional standards that are required, just to run through them briefly, we're allowed to be 35 feet in height, which is what we proposed. The sign itself can be 400 square feet. It's at 378. The minimum spacing between other signs is 1,000 feet, and the closest one is at that jug handle at Wimby, which is 4,400 feet away. There's none to the south. The minimum setback to the next public roadway intersection, which would be Waynesboro Way and Falcon Drive here, that distance is 880 feet. It's permitted to be as low as 200 feet. So we're well in excess of that, and the minimum front setback is 10 feet, or setback to a property line, which we have 10 feet to Berlin Cross Keys Road and 25 feet to the sideline. As mentioned, it's in a developed site. The sign's going in the corner. We're going to have a nice decorative column. It's going to look very much like that photo you see there, and no other site improvements are proposed or required to make it work. The existing site is about 1.5 acres, fully developed, 230-ish feet of frontage, a little more than that. It has the one building on it that right now is a Sherwin-Williams and maybe one other tenant in it. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any about sign location.
Does everybody have any questions?
Through the chair, is this going to be on the grassy section between the roadway and the parking
So
lot?
in the corner of the parking lot where the parking spaces turn perpendicular to one another, there's like a square that's cut out in that corner. It's going to drop right in that.
Yeah.
So it's probably off the edge of the pavement. It's probably in the neighborhood of about 25 feet.
Okay. Is there going to be any kind of vegetation put on the bottom to dress up the bottom? Not
No, just the intention is to leave the landscaping that's out there and just have a decorative column, which will be like a brick water table about 4 feet, 5 feet high, and then a square column that goes up around it. So it's not going to look like the round metal poles you typically see.
Oh, okay. So there is going to be something to dress it up a little.
Yeah,
with
and we've
it.
done this multiple times with Garden
Oh,
State to do that.
okay.
Yep,
That's it, thank you.
thank
Does
you.
anybody else have any questions?
How far is it set back from the road?
From the right-of-way line, it's 10 feet.
Is there any issue in terms of sight line, safety issues in terms of visibility in and out of the
No, sir.
site?
The site triangle for this road, this driveway here is well outside of the footprint of that sign.
Okay.
Do we know how bright it's going to be, like at night?
All right, so this is the fun, I'm glad you asked these kind of questions. So to be clear too, it's a digital board, so digital sign, both sides will be digital. And similar to what you see in iPhones or smartphones nowadays, there's brightness settings in it that are automatic. So in the brightest sun of the day, it's at 100%, so you can see it. At night, it dims down to as low as 25% of its full power. The light that comes off it is less than a full moon at night. So it's, lowered pretty substantially.
Okay.
So the old days of the big bright change, and none of that's the standard now.
Flashing.
No, sir, not allowed to. No, so every time a new message comes up, it's 8 seconds it has to stand, and it changes instantly. So you don't see any movement at all. It just switches.
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yep, open to the public.
Can I get a motion to open public?
Motion to open the public?
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Does anybody from the public like to speak about this project?
Hearing none.
Hearing none, I will take a motion to close the public.
Motion to close.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So, Mr. Chairman, the town's land ordinance permits the planning board, provides you the authority and discretion to grant a waiver from site plan review and approval whenever you determine in your discretion that the request is a modest change as determined by you in your sole and absolute discretion. And the standards or elements that you're asked to look at under the ordinance include things such as landscaping, parking, circulation, traffic lighting, vegetation, signage, safety, utility services, and buffering. And given the fact that the testimony you've heard is that there would be very little, if any, impact to those elements, I think it would be appropriate if a member of the board were to make a motion to approve the site plan waiver.
Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
We'll do a roll call vote.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Ms. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Kozak?
There's very little change, if any, to the site, yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Frederelli?
Yes.
Mr. Scardino?
Yes.
Mr. Hessel?
Yes.
Thank you. You're approved.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, the fun-
Second on our agenda, number 1884 Longbridge Farms LLC, preliminary major subdivision.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Peter Flannery with the law firm of Bisgayer Hoff on behalf of the applicant, Longbridge Farms LLC. This is an application for preliminary major subdivision approval. It's with respect to property located at 644 North Tuckahoe Road, County Route 555, near the intersection with Clayton Road. It's block 12503, lots 12, 13, and 14. Essentially 3 mostly undeveloped lots, approximately 26.38 acres in area. It's in the RG-MR Regional Growth Moderate Residential District. The application is for subdivision approval to permit the subdivision of the property into 49 single-family residential lots, as well as 3 open space and stormwater management lots for a total of 52 lots. It's tentatively called Deerfield Estates at this point. Originally, the applicant had sought to come before the board back in March, on March 2nd. with some variance relief. Since that time, the applicants revised the plans, spoken to the board's professionals and some neighbors, and eliminated any variances with this application. Those variances had included a lot frontage variance that's now done away with, and it's fully conforming from a variance standpoint. There are a few design waivers, which we'll get to in a moment with our professionals, but these are mostly having to do with curbing and driveways, and really bring the project into conformance with the residential site improvement standards. The ordinance is a little behind. These bring those up into the standards that are generally accepted for residential development, such as what's proposed, and also, I think, help improve the subdivision. We also have, I believe, maybe one completeness issue, which we'll get to in a moment, but I just wanted to, at this point, swear in our witnesses. I have up to 3, may only present 2, but we have Richard Clemson, who's our civil engineer. We have Brian Shropshire, who's our traffic engineer, and we have Tiffany Morrissey, who's our planner.
So would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide this board is the truth and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clemson, if you just briefly for the board state your education, experience, and licensure.
Sure. Licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey.
So I'll interrupt you. We've accepted Mr. Clemson before as an expert.
Many times. Thank you.
He's accepted as an expert in civil engineering.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clemson, if you could just briefly provide an overview of the property. I know I've done that a little bit myself, but maybe with reference to an aerial. I know we have a few exhibits here, just to give the board and the public a sense of where this is located.
So could we refer to that as A1?
This will be Exhibit A1, and if you could
Aerial
just briefly
exhibit.
describe this, Mr. Clemson.
So this is Exhibit A1. It's an aerial photograph that illustrates the location of the property. The area here in the center of the plan, that's where we have our road layout and lot layout superimposed on an aerial photograph. We have Tuckahoe Road to the west. We have Clayton Road that sort of wraps around both to the southeast and to the east. Excuse me. Maddington Drive, which leads into the Willow Woods subdivision, is just off the page, so just south of our property. So the purpose of the application here tonight is a preliminary subdivision application to subdivide the property into 49 single-family homes and 3 open space lots. The property in question is block 12504, lots 12, 13, and 14. Total acreage is 26.5 acres. Again, the tract has frontage on Tuckahoe Road, which is also known as County Route 555. To the north of the site, and the property has sort of a funky shape. It's linear, long and linear as you come in off of Tuckahoe Road, and then it opens up. So the properties to the north of our Tuckahoe frontage are large lot, single-family homes that are the lots are 1.9 acres in size or larger, with lot depths of just under 700 feet long. To the east of the tract, this area over here where these properties front on Clayton Road, those are also large lot single-family homes. The lots are 1.8 acres in size or larger, and the depths over in that area range from 490 feet to 690 feet in depth. To the south of our property, down in here, the bottom of the page, that's vacant wooded lanes. And then to the west of us is Tuckahoe Road. And then on the other side of Tuckahoe Road, we have large lot, single-family homes along Tuckahoe. But then you have Maddington Drive, which feeds into the Willow Woods, which is a sort of a very common type of residential subdivision in Monroe. I think most of the lots in that area are 20,000 square foot. Okay, so property currently improved with an existing house and a couple of outbuildings with shed, what have you. They're located down here on the southwest corner of the property, and they are proposed for removal. The remainder of the property consists of vacant cleared land, which is used primarily for farming, and then to the north end of the property is wooded lands. Tuckahoe Road is a two-lane undivided highway under the jurisdiction of Gloucester County, classified as an urban minor arterial. It has an approximate carway width of 44 feet and a right-of-way width in total. It varies from 66 to 70 feet in width. Property is located in the RDMR, or Regional Growth Medium Density Residential Zoning District, and it is located within the New Jersey Pinelands. Single-family homes are permitted use in the RDMR zone. The zoning standards for the RDMR are fairly typical single-family home lots, 10,000 square feet, 75-foot lot frontage and width. The open space required is 25%, so that would be 6.6 acres. We're at 8.99 acres, so you see the open space requirements. We are a clustered residential subdivision. Allows for a density of 1.25 dwelling units per acre, on up to 2.25 dwelling units per acre with Pinelands development credits. Our proposed density is 1.85, which is under that threshold. If we were to max out development credits, we would be looking at 59 lots. We're proposing 49. And we have no bulk variances proposed. None. Okay. The typical proposed lot is 75 feet wide and approximately 135 feet deep, with a lot area of 10,125 square feet. Typical house would be 40 foot wide, 4-bedroom, 2-car front entry garages. The layout will provide for a very open field with at least 35 feet of space between houses. The project was submitted to, and we received a certificate of filing from the Pinelands Commission on September 4th, 2025. All right. I am going to switch from aerial to color rendering.
We'll call this Exhibit A2. And if you could just briefly describe this one as well.
Okay. This is the color rendering of our overall site plan. So it's fairly similar to drawing CS0200, which is a comprehensive of the overall site plan. However, this plan does have, as you can see, a lot of color to try to make it a little easier to see the various components of what's being proposed. So access to the subdivision is down here on the left side of the plan. We are proposing a boulevard entrance. The right of way of that boulevard is 70 foot wide, and we're providing two 20-foot wide travel lanes that would separate your incoming traffic and your outgoing traffic. And that boulevard extends basically up to the first intersection. From there, we have two neighborhood residential streets, 50-foot right-of-way and 30-foot cartway. We have a cul-de-sac at the essentially northern end of both Road A and Road B. The geometry of these cul-de-sacs is consistent with the residential site improvement standards, and the plan was reviewed and approved by the fire official. The roadways will be curved with Belgian block. We're going to talk about this in a little bit more detail in a couple of minutes. But we are proposing Belgian block curve and sidewalk on both sides of the street. The streets that we are proposing here are public streets. We connect to Tuckahoe, and trash and recycling is proposed as curbside pickup. All the proposed homes would have access to the public internal streets. Okay, so Belgian block curve. So we're proposing Belgian block, whereas the municipal ordinance requires concrete curb. So we are asking for a waiver from that. This type of curbing is very, very suitable for a residential setting. It is much more aesthetically pleasing than your standard concrete curb. And as a result, because it would give the community a much better appearance, we're asking for that waiver. And that waiver is a very, very, very common waiver for residential developments and even some commercial projects. We will have concrete curb where we have handicap curb ramps, because the concrete curb will give you a smooth surface. It is easier to travel over than Belgian block, which can undulate a little bit. So we are proposing concrete curb in those instances. We are also going to be asking for a waiver for a roadway slope. So that would be the longitudinal or gutter slope along the roads. The ordinance requires 1%, and if you go under 1%, then you need to put in what's called monolithic curb and gutter, which means when you build the curb, you're building a gutter at the same time, and you can go under 1% as long as you're doing that. Now, we are proposing Belgian block curb, and it's our opinion that because the Belgian block is actually installed with a concrete foundation, which you can control much more readily than, say, when you're laying asphalt, that the controls for the slope will be met, and we think that this is a better alternative than doing concrete curb. All right.
Through the chair, can I, so we don't have to digress, is that true, what he's saying about that Belgian block and the thing? Are we? We're good with it? Okay, so we don't have to go back to it. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about parking. So the current version of the residential site improvement standards dictates the amount of parking that's required. Table 4.4 of the RSIS specifies the number of spaces required. So per that table, 2.5 parking spaces required for each of our single-family homes. And as a result, with 49 lots, 122 parking spaces would be required. The residential site improvement standards also state that for a 2-car garage and driveway combination, what's provided is 3.5 parking spaces. So now what we're looking at is we're providing 171, but only 122 were required. So we exceed the parking requirements from the residential site improvement standards. Moving on, I had mentioned that the minimum open space for a cluster subdivision requires 25% of the gross area. Based on our tract of 26.5 acres, 6.6 acres would be required. We're proposing a total of 8.99 acres of open space. So on our plan, we're not proposing any active recreation other than sidewalks. We do have a significant amount of passive open space, which you can see essentially in all the green and darker green areas of the site. We don't believe that active recreation would be necessary for this property. I'm going to bring up another exhibit. This is another aerial photo.
And this will be A3.
Way out. So I'll make this A3. And the purpose of this exhibit is to demonstrate what is in the area around our proposed project. So first we have the Mary Mazza Duffy Memorial Park, which actually, hold on. My apologies. I'm going to talk about Owens Park first, so I don't have to read on the exhibits. So this is A3, and the purpose of this is to show the proximity of Owens Park to our property. So Owens Park is a municipally owned park. It's located approximately 1 mile from our site. This park has numerous facilities, including a playground, tennis court, pickleball courts, skate park, baseball fields. I mean, this is very, very well-established park. Volleyball court, basketball court, street hockey rinks, and a dog park. That is a mile from our site. And then I'm going to bring up another aerial.
This will be A4.
A4. And this plan shows the relationship between our property and Mary Mazza Duffy, which is down and to the right. It's this complex here. And that is 0.7 miles away from our site. And it contains top lot, pavilion, multiple fields, and it is also municipally owned. You can see all the baseball fields. The top lot is in here. There's a pavilion in here. It's a little smaller in scale than the number of facilities than Owens Park, but still a very well done park that is within a very, very close distance to our site. I'm going to have a couple more items to talk about. So there was a comment in one of the early review letters from Colliers. They talked about EV parking, and our office and Colliers' office has had a number of conversations about this, and you know, I'm here to testify that single-family residential projects are exempt from EV parking. It is not required. If you read the code and the township's zoning ordinance follows the state's model ordinance, states that multi-family residential projects that are of a condo or cooperative nature, they would be required. That those are the only the types of residential projects that require EV parking on the street. So we are not proposing EV parking, and it is not required either based on the state's model ordinance, nor is it required based on the town's zoning ordinance. Okay, stormwater management. We are fully compliant with the residential state improvement standards and the New Jersey state stormwater management rules. We have submitted to the New Jersey Finance Commission, they did a full review of stormwater management, and we were approved, which is why we're here tonight. We received our certificate of filing. We are compliant. Your engineer has reviewed our plans and our reports, and the latest letter that came out today had no comments on our stormwater management system. It is designed in accordance with the latest standards, which is green infrastructure at higher rainfall rates, one order of 13 inches of rain in 24 hours. So very, very substantial requirements that had to be met. And we are compliant with those rules. Landscaping. Landscaping is proposed throughout the project. Go back to the rendering we have, and you can see.
This is A2?
This is back to A2. All these green with a black backgrounds around it or boundary around it, that's all of the landscaping that we're proposing. And I'm gonna give you some statistics, and keep in mind, these do not include all the landscaping that's going in the stormwater basins. So that is in addition. So what we're proposing, is 120 deciduous trees, 53 ornamental deciduous trees, 158 evergreen trees, and 196 shrubs. Our street trees are essentially at a 40-foot interval, and you can see there's a large amount of street trees that are proposed, all the green circles.
Through the chair, the street trees are gonna be what, between the sidewalk and the curb?
They are behind the right-of-way,
On the person's property?
Correct,
Right.
not on the right-of-way.
And could you point out where the basins are gonna be?
Sure. Okay, so because of the way that the new rules are written, we have essentially two types of stormwater facilities. We have what we call small-scale facilities, and we have large-scale facilities. The purpose of the small-scale facilities is water quality treatment and groundwater recharge. The purpose of the large-scale is stormwater quantity control. So, start with the large. So we have three large scale, you can use that terminology, stormwater basins. And two of them on either side of Tuckerton Road, and one is it's at the northerly end of the property, pretty much right center of the northern end of the property, and it lines up with where the water's going down. So we're not changing any drainage patterns. A portion of the site drains to Tuckahoe, a portion of the site drains to the back. We've maintained those drainage patterns. Again, they've been reviewed and approved by both the engineer and by the Pinelands Commission. Small scale. Okay, so the small scale basins, like there's one here. There's one here. This is one the far southern end of the site, at the bottom of the page. And then we also have small scale facilities all the way up to the north, and then two in the center, and then one off to the east side.
Are you, through the chair, are you planning to have fencing around these?
We were
Not deeper day.
So the small scale, 2 feet or less. The large scale facilities, they could be on the order of 4 feet. But they're all designed with dry basins. They're not wet ponds.
Do you anticipate residents being able to, take walks back there at all?
Sure. Yeah, we're not proposing, hard surface pads, but, we would fully anticipate that, folks would want to walk through here.
Well,
There is a stabilized, there's a network of stabilized pads that are throughout the open space, particularly around the stormwater facilities. Those have a structural base and then a lawn or turf surface on top. So they would withstand, heavy, lawn mowing equipment and things like that, and they would be mowed and cleared. So you could walk on those, and obviously if they're strong enough for, vehicles and backhoes and things like that, it would be fine for pedestrian traffic. And they're essentially all the way around all of these basins, so there will be plenty of opportunity to walk.
I only ask because if I was a resident, I would think that, like, because you don't have a complete circle. If you want to go out and walk around the block, there's no block to walk around.
Right.
So if you were to connect the two cul-de-sacs with a walking path, you could feasibly just get exercise walking around your neighborhood. Without that, there's no continuous loop. You'd have to
So
walk
you
back and
could,
forth.
so the way the basin access paths are set up, you could get from one side to the other. We could certainly work on something like that.
Particularly if there's kids in that neighborhood, and particularly if kids are in that neighborhood, they're going to be cutting through anyway. Because you got friends on the other cul-de-sac, you're not going to go all the way around.
And through the chair, may I ask a couple questions? Is this an HOA development?
This is HOA, yes.
So they maintaining the basins and
And the open space.
the open space, all of it?
All of it, yes. Yes, HOA.
Sir, in the open space where you're pointing, like this gentleman just said, is that going to be left natural, or you're going to be replanting it all? Or I guess it's a field. It might be a field. There might be nothing there now. There's probably no woods.
The perimeter, well, actually, this whole area back in here is woods right now.
Oh, okay.
So the perimeter, all this dark green, that is all vegetation that is saved. And then inward of that, we also have landscaping associated with the perimeter of the stormwater basins and things like that.
So real quick question, where you're saying the wooded area is
So,
that all, is that off of the Clayton Road? Or is that, can you just point out like where can you just show me where the Tuckahoe Road and the Clayton Road areas on that development again? Just so I have a visual of exactly,
This is Tuckahoe.
Okay.
Going to the left side.
Right.
And then Clayton Road is at the bottom, and then on the right side, because Clayton Road makes a turn,
correct.
okay? And I would say, if I'm gonna bring back A4, if this will help a little bit. All right, so you have Clayton Road wraps around, so it's both to the south of us, and this is just a huge expanse of vacant woodlands. This area here is also Clayton Road, and here you have vacant woods, but then you have a few single-family homes, and then there's a landscaping type business to the far northeast. And then Tuckahoe is here all the way to the left of the page. So essentially, from my arm upward, that's all woods right now. From my arm down, that's all clear in agriculture.
Question, you said that the two parks are less than a mile away.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mary Mazza is across the roadway, but Owens is probably closer. Do you anticipate any way for kids or any pedestrians to access those parks, or do you anticipate them having to drive to those parks?
At this point, we would anticipate them driving. There's some other stuff going on where that may change, but for right now, yeah, they would be driven. And keep in mind, this is a small subdivision, it's only 51 miles. If we were doing, a large subdivision, a lot of times we will do, active recreation, but active recreation isn't even required here. I just brought it up I brought it up specifically because these parks are so close.
Is there anything else?
No, that's.
Well, just really quickly, there are a few more design waivers, just touch on those really
Yeah,
quickly.
I can go through the design waivers. All right, that's my last page here. All right, so we already talked about a design waiver for the Belgian block curve for aesthetic reasons. We talked about the waiver for the roadway slope is 0.75% instead of 1%. It's not there's areas that are .75 and there's areas that are steep. But we have to ask for the waiver regardless. And I explained why, in our opinion, it's completely appropriate. We have a waiver for swale grades. I'm going to go back to the rendering, which is A2. So on the west side, behind Tuckahoe, we do have swales that run in this area here, which are less than the minimum required slope of 2%. And we've had many conversations with the staff about this. And the reason that we need to have a flatter slope in these areas is so that we maintain drainage patterns from off-site. Drainage patterns from Tuckahoe, primarily in this direction. We need to make sure that we are low enough to accept that, move it through to our systems. And that is the primary reason for flatter slopes. And we've done some engineering in here in the form of under drains and things like that in order to facilitate proper drainage. We do have sandy soil in that back area there, so we believe that it is the appropriate design. We have a waiver, again, these are design waivers, these are not variances. We have a waiver for street lighting. So there's a requirement that the minimum foot candle on our proposed streets is 0.3 foot candles. Okay, we do have some areas that are under 0.3. All right, but we believe that the amount of lighting that we provided is substantial. Our light standards, our street lights, average about 150 to 200 feet apart. Okay, we're proposing 17 street lights on a site with 49 homes and 26 and a half acres. As a comparison, the board a few years ago approved a subdivision called Holly Oaks. In Holly Oaks, it is a 50 acre property. Let me get my map right. Yeah. So the Holly Oaks was about 100, a little under 100 homes, and I think it was 50 acres. So significantly bigger than us. There were 16 lights. We are at 17. We believe to put these any tighter will actually create like too much, and it could be a headache for the board and the town and the town's engineer. So we firmly believe that we are providing an adequate, very safe level of lighting for the property.
Through the chair, so we can, Pam, you're okay with this lighting? Les? Okay. No, so we don't have to keep going back.
Well, they're going to give their report, so that's,
Just a question. You cited the other neighborhood. The type of lights they use, how do they compare to the ones you guys are proposing to use? Are they the same exact ones?
So they're not exactly the same, but they are not different enough to make a difference, if that makes sense. So they're the same height. Our lights are LED. I believe the Holly Oaks site was fully using high-pressure sodium, so we're much more energy efficient than that site. Our lighting intensities are equivalent.
Okay, so
they're just spaced way further apart than where we are. And again, we've had this conversation with staff, and we really feel that to squeeze anywhere here is just going to create too much.
so you feel that they're similar enough?
Yes. Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
is that everything?
I just have one question. I'm questioning the sidewalks. You said they're extended further down Tuckahoe. Can you just give a rough estimate of how far the sidewalks are going to be? They're going to be running down Tuckahoe Road?
So we do have sidewalk proposed along Tuckahoe, along our entire frontage. So essentially, they're right here where my hands are, so to our northern boundary along Tuckahoe and our southern boundary, we have sidewalk along that entire length.
Just where your property is?
Correct.
But this is pretty close to the high school. Will the kids in this neighborhood be
So
walkers?
that's a good distance to the,
So they'll be bused?
from a walking standpoint.
Because I'm just concerned about maybe having sidewalks go, I mean, are there already sidewalks down that road?
Yeah, but you're talking about it was a mile away.
That's what I'm asking.
And there's
yeah.
no sidewalk
There's no
on that
sidewalks,
side.
okay,
Not until you get to Holyoke, where you're saying.
okay.
Yeah, you're a mile away. They're not gonna walk. They're not gonna walk.
There won't be
blocks
walkers?
longer than that.
Okay.
I got one question. From the last house in development to Tuckahoe Road, how far is that?
From the last, all right, so.
Upper, yeah.
All right, so Road B by
If these are
itself,
75 foot,
I
that's
think
about
it is 1,050. Road A here is about 850, so from here to, from the common intersection of Roads A and B and Tuckahoe, you're probably looking at another 800 feet.
All right. With this being a single-family homes, can school bus get in there and make U-turns and everything?
They can, we've done all the turn movements, and yes.
Does the bus company allow it?
Well, I don't know if they would actually do it, that's another matter, but it's been designed for.
Okay, so if the school buses came, they would probably have to pick them up at Tuckahoe Road?
More than likely, that's probably what the school would do. We don't have control of that, I don't believe the board
Right.
does either, but that, your assessment is correct, that's probably how it would. But that doesn't
Kids.
negate the fact that we have to allow it.
Right. So you're gonna have 20 kids at Tuckahoe Road?
Yeah, I mean,
Small number, I'm guessing. Wow, it's a busy highway to have kids.
all right, and I believe, I only have, I have 3 additional waivers that I'm gonna go through fast. They're only, these are related to the roadway system. They're only waivers because the municipalities' design and performance standards have not been updated to match the residential site improvement standards which dictate it. We comply with all of the RSIS requirements. And these waivers, they are waivers because it's a technicality, because the board's, the town's ordinance is not consistent with RSIS. That's it. So, I just wanted to make it clear that these are really not waivers, they are technical waivers, only because the town's ordinance does not match RSIS, and RSIS dictates. So what they are is a waiver, design waiver to allow for the cul-de-sac to be longer than 750 feet. The residential site improvement standards does not use length on a single-family project as a determining factor for the number of houses. So we are compliant with RSIS. The next one is a cul-de-sac curb line radius. The radius as you go around the bowl. The town is at 70 feet. We're compliant with RSIS. I think we're around 41 feet or so. And then we have a waiver from the town's ordinance regarding our access point. So the residential site improvement standards specifically allows for a boulevard-style access point instead of having 2 separate entrances. That's the whole purpose of this boulevard setup. So we are RSIS compliant with that as well. And that's it.
Thank you. That's all I have of this witness at this time.
Go to our approved professionals.
Yes, before we go into my report, there is an item of submission completeness. It can be deemed complete, subject to the deferral as a condition of approval, with testimony provided to do a development schedule, data map, and report. So we have no objection to it being a condition of approval. But provided testimony is provided tonight.
And from your report, that's on page 5, and you're referencing H5B.
That's correct.
And that'd be deferred to final approval.
Correct.
What about the site plan reference, the size of the scale? Have they corrected that?
Site plan reference.
So I think you referenced 5A as well, schedule map with the same scale. I thought it was a scaling issue. Or you updated the plan to be.
No, it's a schedule map.
Okay,
So it's the map that I referred to as deferred.
okay.
I would point
I
out
do.
that we are not phasing the job, just one phase. So a schedule map is not really provide a whole lot because we're not breaking it into sections.
Yeah, it is one phase, but they've also indicated that construction would consist of approximately 2.5 years. So some kind of a report that outlines how it's going to progress over 2.5 years, even though it's one phase, should be provided.
Through the chair, is that so the roads are, we have a plan of when the roads will be finished and it won't be left open for forever?
And the stormwater facilities go in
Yeah.
prior to?
Yes.
In
All the
a certain
improvements.
sequence?
Yeah.
But your still
Sequence of
recommendation is to defer that to
construction,
final
basically.
approval? Can you tell us if you can accomplish that?
I'm
as part of
sorry,
final?
yeah, I
think
didn't know
that's
the
the testimony
question
Pam
was
put
to us.
before.
Yes, we'd certainly defer that to final. We could provide that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You okay with that? So with that, the application should be deemed complete?
The application can be deemed complete.
Okay. If you want to make a motion, all in favor? No, just do it all in favor.
Can I get a motion?
Motion?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Application is complete.
Thank you.
The second portion of our report deals with design performance standards. We defer zoning requirements to the planner. Under design performance and evaluation standards, there are 7 design waivers which have been correctly identified by the applicant through his testimony. I can go over them again if the board so chooses, but the 7 design waivers. There is, however, under our general comments, a de minimis waiver or exception that's needed for the width of the driveway to each unit. They're proposing 18 feet versus 20-foot wide driveway per RSIS. So testimony is needed regarding that de minimis waiver. Under our traffic assessment, the applicant agrees to provide item 4 under their assessment in section 5.6. The applicant agreed to provide revised trip distribution figure that they requested. They also questioned whether there would be a left turn lane, which the applicant indicated was warranted. The applicant indicates a left turn lane is proposed, and the final design and approval is subject to review and approval by Gloucester County. Item number 10, under 5.6, they asked for a parking assessment detailing the parking supply versus RSIS and EV standards, and we asked that they work with the traffic engineer to address and provide the data that they're requesting.
Which paragraph of your report is that?
5.6,
Okay.
items 4, 9B, and 10. As far as stormwater management, they've met all of our comments. They've revised the plan to address all the comments we had about stormwater management. We do reserve the right to provide additional comments should the plans be revised by Pinelands or any other agency that they go before.
May I? So is it fair to say, Ms. Pellegrini, that the testimony the applicant has provided satisfies your concerns about the design waivers that they're requesting, subject to the additional information requested at 5.64 relating to trip distribution, 9B relating to a left turn? I suppose that would be deferred until
That's
final?
deferred, correct.
Yep. And
10 is provide a parking assessment.
right, and that deferred, or do you recommend
that
that
can
being
be-
deferred, or a condition
That
of
can
the
be
preliminary?
deferred.
Okay. And other than that, the design waivers they requested are supported by testimony, supported by good engineering practices?
That's correct. And RSI standards.
Okay.
There is also general comments 2 through sheet 11, number 1, and we just ask the applicant agree to provide as requested
Sure.
as part of a
Yes, we
perfected
agree.
plan.
Yeah. And so in general, the applicants agreed to comply with the comments or suggestions in your letter, and your testimony is that you have no objection to the design waivers requested, consistent with the testimony that they've proffered?
That's correct.
Okay. If you have any questions, I'll let you go to Chris.
That's good, Chris. You done, Pam?
Yes.
Question through the chair. Are you okay with no fences around the detention pond?
We generally ask for at least a 4-foot fence to be around the basins. It's not common for them not to have the fencing, so that's something for the board to consider.
So you're not taking a stand one way or the other?
Yeah.
Being that they're dry basins, they should be dry most of the time, but because of the depth, I have a few concerns.
Concerns because of the
Yes.
depth, 4 foot?
Yes. If
So when
something's
it
not
is-
working, and they fill up, that, that does cause a bit of concern.
Concern.
Are fences required?
Fences are generally required around basins, yes.
And would you suggest the black on black chain link,
Yes,
4 foot?
yes.
That's all.
When you're saying generally required, is it part of our ordinance in this town requiring the fence?
That's correct.
So our ordinance requires the fence around the
Yes.
basins? Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. So, what we can do is, the small-scale basins are very shallow. They have to be very shallow. There are very specific rules that dictate how we design those. So fencing would absolutely not be necessary for any of those. They're meant to be dry, very, very shallow. What we could do is on the large scale, so there's 3 large-scale basins, which are designed for quantity control. We could do split rail fence around those with a wire mesh, which is pretty much the industry standard these days for stormwater management fencing.
Through the chair, the only problem with that is, like any wooden fence, its best day is the first day. Every day after that. So black on black, chain link, it'll be there for eternity. And it's not noticeable. You can look right through it. So that's what we usually,
That's what
I'd
we've
say.
been recommending.
yeah, because of the aesthetics and that the strength of it. where
Yeah,
wooden fence.
and I agree, the small scale would not need the fencing.
Right,
I'm only
right.
talking about the large
The
scale.
The 4-foot,
Yeah,
right, black on black.
yeah, the
chain
small
link,
scale
4 foot.
are meant to blend into the landscape.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah, but this way, we won't have to address it later on. Okay. Excuse me. I said,
So you
that
guys
stays
are
the
okay
first
with
step.
doing the chain link fence, black on black, around 4
4
foot
foot.
bases,
4 foot high.
4 foot.
4 foot high?
They gotta maintain it.
Yes.
That'll be fine.
Chris?
Sure. All right, I have just a couple of questions. I don't know that I'll go through my entire report. They do have additional witnesses. I see traffic and planning over there. Let's see, so there are no variances required in the application. They had originally submitted requiring a few variances for lot frontage. They've adjusted the plan so that there are no variances. They meet all the minimum bulk standards for lots in the district. Design waivers. Okay, a quick comment on the Pinelands development credits. So if I'm understanding the ordinance correctly, the way we put it in our code, the max density is 1.25 units per acre, but you can go up to 2.25, I think that is, if you acquire some Pinelands development credits. You're at, by my calculation, you're proposing 1.85 or 1.86 units an acre, so you are gonna get PDCs for that, those
Yes.
15 or so additional units?
We'll have those before we come in for final.
Okay, thank you. Provided the tree removal plan already, not going in phases. You had already addressed this in your response letter to me, but just for the record, there is gonna be garbage and recycling storage within each unit,
Correct.
and then there'll be like bins inside the garage, they put them out curbside for collection?
In the garage.
So there's no dumpsters anywhere on site?
Nope.
Okay. Covers most of my comments, and then you had already adjusted the plans to address, I believe, most of our landscaping comments, but you agreed that any landscaping comment that you haven't already addressed through the revised plans you submitted last month, you would address before coming back for final?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I believe we.
I think you had already addressed all of them, actually,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
just in case there's one you didn't catch.
Yeah.
That's correct.
All right.
No problem.
I don't think I have any, one additional minor comment, that in between lots 14 and 15, you're showing a 10-foot wide pedestrian pathway easement. Is that just to access the back, or that's not proposed to be a linkage to the properties on the other side, is it?
Eventually, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Can you address that then, the purpose behind that and what that would connect to?
So there is a redevelopment project that is, and we're not involved with, that is being reviewed, and we, in the course of dialogue with staff, we were asked to provide that linkage, and it's there to allow for a connection between us and a future development, should that future development actually occur.
Could you point, through the chair, could you point that out where that's gonna be?
Yes. All right, so the pedestrian access is right here where I have the pen.
Got
It's
it.
between lots 14 and 15, and right now, this land here is all vacant wooded land. So there's nothing there now. It was something that was asked of us, so that we would provide a linkage should something be done there. And we agreed to do it.
And that'll be sidewalk?
That would be, that would be a hard surface walkway.
So, and who's gonna be responsible for shoveling that?
It would have to be the HOA.
Okay.
And then, I apologize, it was not in our review letter in the landscape comments, but we had an internal discussion earlier today. Would you have any objection to supplementing the landscaping with some additional evergreens around the stormwater basins on the east side of the property? Particularly a little bit closer to the eastern cul-de-sac. There's a couple of lots there, and there's not much landscaping. Keep going a little further right. The
in here.
The basin that is.
Near lot
To
19?
the east of the eastern cul-de-sac, or north of it, I should say,
Over
those
here,
around
this
there.
guy?
Supplementing that with a little bit of additional evergreens.
Yeah, so the only thing, because that's woods back there, the only thing,
I know just to your east, there's not a lot of tree line there.
a little bit of buffering between the basin and lot 19, if you look on your plan at 19.
Just in this area is what I'm talking about. But,
Do you mind if I come over?
yeah, come on. All right, so it's sort of this area here.
Yeah, you have to shoot this.
Before they speak, so they can see the plan. Make questions. I mean, on questions anyway, yeah.
I think he means right here. What's that? I think he's trying to talk about. Here's where that like area is gonna be. And you're gonna be right up on these guys.
I don't think I have any additional comments at this point.
Through the chair, to the applicants, who does the snow plowing? You're going to dedicate the streets to the township
Yes, the streets will be dedicated.
for plowing?
Correct.
I had one last question I forgot to ask. The lot sizes on these, you guys were talking about the driveways for the waiver for the width. What do you, with the 18-foot wide driveways, what do you anticipate the pervious coverage average for each lot?
Well, we'll be, so,
The impervious coverage, I'm sorry.
we're gonna, so, all right, so the lot coverage, hang on 1 second. The lot coverage, I believe, is 40% max, and we're under that for every single lot. So we're proposing 18, and honestly, this de minimis RSI's waiver is pretty common. By going from 20 to 18, you still have plenty of room for 2 cars, but it reduces the impact on pervious coverage and stormwater. And mind you, so when you have a driveway coming up to your garage door opening is only 16 feet. So a driveway is wider than the opening to the garage. So it's very, very, very common.
No, I'm aware of that. I was just curious where the starting point for these homeowners when they get there, what the baseline impervious coverage is with the 18-inch driveway. Roughly. It's not going to be the same for each lot, obviously.
You know what, off the top of my head, I'm not sure I have that with me. I can get you that, yes.
Like what the range would be.
Oh, okay, yeah, thank you. 30, we're at
30? Okay.
And 40 is permissible, thank you.
Excuse me, just one quick clarification. You said the garage opening is 16 feet, so you're proposing single-door garages?
So, more than, Jason, do you know if it'll be single doors? Single doors? Single doors.
Yeah, otherwise there wouldn't be enough
It'll
room.
be great.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I got something. Since you're an HOA, can you deed restrict the houses from switching the garages into living spaces because of you use the garages for parking spots?
That's happening. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're good, yes.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yep.
Can I get a motion to open public?
Do you want to let them see the plans for it?
Sure, so if you want to orient some of the plans so the public can see them better, but then open
Yeah,
it up to the
certainly.
Turn
public.
them around.
Maybe this, yeah, I think A2 might be a good one.
Do we want to?
I don't think so. Or charge them off.
Wait until,
Okay, we're going to chase all this.
Yep. Yeah. Why do you want to ask how many people?
Did anybody from the public want to come up closer to look at the plans?
I mean,
Okay.
Well, that's what we're doing right now. No one's getting up.
don't they have another witness that wants to get up?
I don't think so.
No, they said only two.
He said he might not. Yeah, he said he might not. He was
She said no?
True. Mr. Flannery? Mr., do you have any other witnesses?
We have other witnesses. We weren't planning on putting those up unless there were specific questions regarding those issues, but.
I'm not saying you need one, just want to make sure if we're doing this now.
Understood. But with that being said, I'd like the opportunity. if there's-
You're reserved. If you need to call somebody else,
Thank
it's
you.
fine. Why don't you ask for a show of hands at how many people want to offer comment, and then I'll tell you what.
Can I get a show of hands of how many people want to comment tonight about this?
2.
Six, seven, six or seven. Yeah, you're talking for a minute.
Mr. Chairman, do we want to take like a 5-minute recess so the public has a chance to review the plans, or do you want to just launch into questions?
No, we didn't really want to.
Okay.
So we
Let's move
call
forward then.
Call them back to order.
Okay, can we take our seats?
Yeah. Just ask that question again, show of hands. You want me to propose 3 minutes? I'll propose.
Yeah. Let's just do it.
Yep.
They're about seven.
Understand, yep. Ask for that show of hands again.
Can I get a show of hands again of who wants to speak tonight on this? 1, 2, 3.
3, 4, 5.
All right.
So, Mr. Chairman, you have the discretion, the board has,
Please listen up.
the board has the discretion to limit the time available for the applicants. You have this application, then you have a second application after this. And in order to make sure that everybody gets heard for both, if the board wanted to make a motion to limit public comment to 3 minutes per applicant or some other time, well, you've got a lot of people to speak, so you want to make sure you get everybody heard. I defer to the board if you want to propose that. You have that discretion.
10 minutes max?
Get it in 3. Could we do 5?
I would just say 10 minutes.
Whatever they want to say. He asked for 3. I'm saying 5.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
Somebody makes a motion.
Anybody want to make a motion?
4.
Or a time limit?
I would say 5 minimum.
Well, just leave Jim.
Question, why don't we ask the public to be courteous and not be repetitive if possible to one another? For the sake of.
Okay. Motion to open to public.
Motion.
Make a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hey, anybody like to speak? Come on up, please.
Good evening. Thank you for being here tonight.
Can we
My
swear you
name
in?
is Anthony Neary. I own,
Raise your right hand.
no, sorry,
You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide the board is the truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Great, thank you.
My name is Anthony Neary. I own 3 parcels of land totaling around 28 acres that are around this property, commercial land. On these properties, I have operated a utility and transportation company for the better part of a century. My family, I'm 3rd generation. Some of what we do is we have heavy equipment. Average machines weigh 80 to 150 ton. They're 30, 40, 50 feet in the air for our high-reach excavators. We have a fleet of Mack dump trucks, which fire up constantly. They run 24 hours a day because we do emergency services for public and state and federal government. So one of the reasons that I'd like to speak is I'm a little concerned, whereas I don't want to tell someone what to do with their property, but I am very concerned of what our operation affects. And when people move into here, I think this board should put some safeguards in place, because you're going to have homeowners come here that are going to spend good money, and you have existing homeowners, and you have a township to think about as well. Our equipment, like I said, it affects your four senses. You see us, you hear us, you feel us, and you smell us. When these trucks are running, you know what it's like with diesel fuel. And it's not 2 or 3 trucks. I got over 25 trucks and 70 pieces of heavy equipment. So when they move, they shake. The ground shakes, everything. So somebody moving into here, I'm concerned that, what could happen is, they work at night, they try to sleep during the day. We're operating backup beepers, 25 of them going off at a time. It's just like we being at the township yard. And I think some good safeguards in place would be a disclosure notice to every resident who buys a house, has to sign off, possibly hold the township harmless, that know that we're there, we've been there, and it'll stop police from coming out, other issues that, go on where somebody just doesn't, they think we're light, the lights are shining, the headlights are shining, the shop lights are on, drills, air guns, things happening. There's always something going on in our yard. So the disclosure note is one thing, and from what I can notice, they're building tight on the Clayton Road side, which is, I live there. I also have twin sisters who have properties there, and we encompass a lot of this property. These houses are 30 feet off of the back fence. Some of the other things they could do is put a buffer up, maybe an earthen berm, move the street to that side, and the street should absolutely connect. I push snow for this town and other towns for the past 40 years. Cul-de-sacs are terrible. Everyone, you know it. You can't push snow in a cul-de-sac. These cul-de-sacs are half the size that they should be. No matter what the fire people tell you, I know you're not pulling a truck around there. My equipment's bigger than theirs, and some of it's the same size. Average fire truck is 40 feet, and they're not going to be able to go around there. You got issues with, ambulances and snowplows. It's best if this was to loop around, and you could go in and out safely. This way the buses can go through there, pick the kids up, and you're not worried about putting kids out, kindergartners, anything on Clayton Road. So I think there's some things that could be done. I like the earthen berm because they're going to dig retention basins anyway, let them put the dirt across that piece of the property where they affected people the most, put some nice trees, 8 feet tall, maybe an 8-10 foot tall stockade fence around that side, and that'll protect. It'll protect from the illumination of our trucks, from the sound. It'll block some of the stuff that's going to affect everybody. I also saw the thing about the sidewalk to nowhere, which, it doesn't back up to my property, but I'm sure that people don't want a bunch of people running to the edge of their property and walking along it. That seems a little strange. But like I said, I'm more concerned about, our operation and affecting. I don't want to affect anybody. I don't want to have people coming giving me a hard time. I don't want to give them a hard time. There's a way this could be done civilly, but we do make a disturbance, and it's around the clock. And we've been doing it, like I said, for the better part of a century on these properties. They're all commercial. We have everything that we've needed over the years, and we try to be courteous because I do live there. I have family members live there, but we're surrounded by a lot of woods. We have the park on the other side, the dog park's out there, and the high tension lines. So there is some things going, that block some of that. But with these houses being as close as they're going to be, I guarantee you somebody coming in spending good money for these houses is not going to be happy when they hear the bang of a tailgate. If you ever heard a tailgate slam on a dump truck, I don't know. If you hear them start up. If you look at my transformer and the transformers around there, they're black because they're electric and they collect the soot. So the years of the older transformers are all black in the area from the trucks running. There's nothing I can do about that. There's nothing I can do about going out at 2 o'clock in the morning, with 20, 30 guys, trucks running, machines running. It's just, we are noticeable. And this meeting, some forethought could be put into it to lay this out properly where they can still do what they need to do, but take that part in consideration. I really am for a disclosure. I talked to our attorneys about it. It happens. And as long as they know we're here, I know there's other issues in this town where people complain about Accurate Industries recently with noise and, disturbances, and they've been there for 140 years, So that's it. That's my concern. I think it could be thought out just a little bit better. I think, like I said, I'm looking at the way that the two break off and them cul-de-sacs are very small. Why can't it just wrap around? Just put a road right around, connect it, you go in, you go around, you go out. It makes the plow guys happy. It makes the trash guys happy. You don't have to go in them tight cul-de-sacs. I mean, a good cul-de-sac, is about 85 feet in around. And you can get around there comfortably, especially if a guy decides to park in the street. A car's going to park in the street. It happens. People will go there to visit somebody. They're not pulling in the driveway. You park in the street. So, that becomes an issue. So please take all this stuff in careful consideration before just, saying, oh, yeah, do what you want to do. I understand, there's other issues that everybody else is going to bring up about traffic, safety, disturbance, but the people on Clayton Road have a lot going on because you're right on top of what we're going to do. And I'm trying to cut this off at the pass and say, take a good look at it and make sure that we don't do any unnecessary disturbance to the new people, to the existing people, and to the township.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I know you're on the right leg of that cul-de-sac, you're on the right side of that plan.
Yeah. And the
So-
left side,
Excuse me?
both sides. I wrap around there.
Oh, you go actually all the way around?
Mhm.
Towards the back?
I go all the way to beyond, my property goes way beyond where their property stops, and it cuts down the side, then it butts up to where my sisters live.
So where the houses are proposed around that cul-de-sac? On
Okay.
the right side,
Mm-hmm.
I'm figuring you're one of those properties there, because you're worried about the houses there.
The first house backs up to my first sister's house. My next sister has two houses. There's no house by me. I think they're trying to leave a little bit of buffer, but we're right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where do you think the distance from your operation, the main operation?
To their house?
To the first house?
If I had to guess, 200 feet, 150 feet.
Is that the one with the overlay on it? It might be better. There's another thing, it shows the overlay of the thing in the area.
What's that? Yeah, so this is our operation, and we go all the way here, we go all. Sorry. So our operation is here and here. As you can see, the equipment, all the stuff is here, our operations building is here. That might even be closer, that could be 100, 150 feet away, but these houses are going to be to us. So they're fairly close.
I think that's what lot 19, he was asking about putting trees up more for like screening.
Yeah, this house too, like as you can see here, we have shakers in there, shaking clean topsoil, crushers, crushing concrete.
At least for the back there, there's kind of more of the buffer of the retention ponds.
A little bit of a buffer, but like I said, your house is going to shake. If it's that close. To be safe, they should be 500 feet away. With the sea, but like I said, they put a berm along here, and you wrap a berm here, that could hold a lot of noise will bounce away. The lights won't be seen. The dust is what tends to come, won't bother anybody. You try to keep it as clean as we can, but it still happens. And the noise.
Yeah, I think that's I think where you're saying the berm, they have a drainage
We
easement
have a
there.
drainage easement
Yeah.
there, which that's against the fence. So, I don't know which other ways they could access it, maybe at the end of what would have been the cul-de-sac. But this is what I'm talking about. If they would just cut a road here, we could wrap right around. Put the ponds on each side of it, whatever you have to do. Like I said, if you look at the size of these cul-de-sacs, I painted it on the ground, and I can't get even a 40-foot truck to make a good turn without backing up 4 or 5 times.
If I'm reading this correctly, it says radius is 51 feet. I don't know if I'm,
Yeah,
yeah,
51, that's not that big.
that's the radius.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Do you have anything else?
No.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak?
Good evening. My name is Donna Park. I am on Clayton Road. We're here in Williamstown.
Can we swear you in?
Oh, yeah.
Ms. Park, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide this board is the truth, the nothing but the truth?
I do. Basically, it'll be quick because my brother said a lot of the things that are in this, but I feel it was important because 45 years ago, I was 19 and sold my car to buy that piece of ground. And that meant a lot to me. And so this is very disheartening, but I know it might come. So there's things that I think after seeing it needs help, and for you guys to listen. For the past 45 years, the view of the property being proposed as this new development was farmland, where wildlife grazed from our backyard, enjoying our peace and privacy. Seeing this is disappointing and disheartening. After reviewing the plans that are proposed, I would like to know if there is any reconsideration for the reconfiguring of the design of this development. Currently, the plan calls for 2 cul-de-sacs. Would it be possible for the cul-de-sacs to join together and create one loop in the development? Doing this would allow for the development to be in the center and the perimeter of the land to be open space and stormwater basins. I felt if they pushed them together, there'd be enough open space to put them behind all the residents on both sides. They could even that out and give them a natural buffer, okay? That would help with add a natural buffer where none is currently proposed on the developer lots that are adjacent to our properties. Also, this design would be more friendly for school buses, emergency vehicles, and plow trucks that have to travel through the development. Also, there is that I have on there, there's a updated proposal vinyl fence that is behind our property to be maintained by the future owners of the lots that are on the plan. I had spoken to Mr. Flannery, I had spoken to him, and I had asked if the proposed fence could be maintained by the HOA, but it appears that the fence will be on the individual owned lots, and the future of those fences are at the mercy of the owners that purchased the properties from the developer. So if the design can be changed and open space or buffer would remain behind our properties, that would help. But I also like to request that the farm fence behind us to be replaced to be maintained by the HOA so it does not have to have a chance to come down or would remain and be repaired if any damage were done to the fence to prevent anyone from coming onto our properties through a broken fence or a fence that was taken down. I also had expressed to Mr. Flannery about some trees that are bad there. They've been falling on our property for quite some time, so we're cutting the grass and they're coming down. I have a 3-year-old granddaughter living there now. She's out there and we got to grab her quick. She can't go in the back. So them trees got to go. I'm sure they will with the new development that will be in the proposal. But the fence is huge to me, that it's maintained by somebody, not the homeowner. Because if they decide to take it down, we're done. Then we don't have that privacy, little bit of privacy that we used to have. So the only fix that I see to this issue is to redesign the plans. Most importantly, for the school buses. Because as a bus driver, myself, 35 years, I've been driving a bus, and we don't go around cul-de-sacs. Too much backing up. The precious cargo on my bus is first, okay? And being on Tuckahoe Road, I drove that road years ago. There was a tragedy there years ago when I drove. I don't want to ever see that again. Okay, so, they need to be in there picking up the kids, going around, grabbing the kids and going. That's my number one, okay? Too close to the light there, traffic, for a school bus stop. But I'm also concerned about that trail. That trail goes out and comes off right behind my neighbor, the guy next to me. And because his fence, for some reason, isn't going all the way to the end of his property, the way I see it on here. I see the trail going right there. So I'm picturing four-wheelers coming, because they want to go in them woods. Now they're going to come back on our properties. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be, I don't think that trail needs to be there. I don't think that should even be in the plans. That's how I feel. Okay? It's right up against my neighbor's property. You know, I just hope that all of you will consider thinking of the safety issues here, especially the school busing, and do what is right in the planning to protect all of the existing residents, all of the future residents, and the township. I'm not against the homes, but please the plans definitely need to be reconsidered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else like to speak?
My name's Sean Rudder.
Mr. Rudder, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide the board is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. And I apologize for my absence. I was attending a function at the at Rowan College, and I arrived late. I do have a couple questions I'm hoping the board or the planner can share. I had submitted, along with a bunch of neighbors that are here in the audience, a petition. We had submitted it to the planning board. A copy of it was sent certified to the attorney's office as well. I wanted to know if any of those considerations were taken in the redesign from the original plan to the one that's being proposed tonight.
Yeah, so,
I can speak to that really briefly. We did eliminate variances. That was two of the requests for the elimination of variances we have done. We can address the other items that they're really not feasible. I can have our engineer address those at a later point.
If they're not feasible, then what would you address?
Oh, we're going to explain why.
Okay. Okay.
the point I would make is the board is, willing to entertain public comment. We're prohibited
I understand.
from considering, a petition or a document outside of that. So, although I know it was received, it's been included in the file.
Fair.
We're happy to hear your comments, but they
Yeah, no, understood. But some residents are working and just simply can't make it. So totally understand. But at least it's there for the record. We felt better at least writing it and submitting it. The other question I have is in regards to, and I couldn't understand it from that plan because I think it's different from the plans that I have. But on the rear of Lot 9, which is actually my property, it looks like there's a small basin of some sorts, but I didn't recall seeing that on the original plan. I'm not familiar with what that is. I was hoping to get some clarity on that, unless I'm misreading it incorrectly.
They did submit revised plans since you received the copy.
No.
Right.
May be something else.
There's no basin in that area. We have a swale that runs along that boundary line, but there's no stormwater basin.
You can go up and look at it closer, Mr. Rutter, if you want.
And I did. I thought I saw the word basin with that little green blob right there. No?
There's a basin here.
That-
That's just a swale.
Okay. Fair enough. So two other questions. Listening to the previous resident speak, it seems as if there was some fencing being placed along that side of the development. Was there any intention to put any type of fencing along the residents' homes on Tuckahoe Road?
No, that's not proposed right now. We can explain why. We have a redirect here.
Sure. When could we do that explanation? Like when I get to
They're going to redirect it.
After the
Perfect.
electrician.
Fantastic. Okay. And then the other thing is if this development goes through in whatever capacity it winds up yielding, I think the residents that spoke before me made some really good, opportunities for, reconsideration. But my question to the township or the planning board is, what would we have to do as a community to petition with the county in regards to getting the portion of Tuckahoe Road from Clayton Road to 322 double yellow lined? I spoke with the county engineer probably about 15 years ago when 12 Oaks first got developed, and they said that there wasn't enough crossroads. The comparison that I was making was between 322 and 5 Points down by the airport, that side of Tuckahoe is double lined, whereas where most of the school buses are traveling from Clayton Road down to Tuckahoe is a single dotted line. But now we've got the Richmond homes down by the walking path. You've got that conglomerate by the entrance to the high school. You've got Willow Woods, and now here's another 100 cars coming on the road. I'm trying to see how much more crossroads and how much more houses would there need to be to have, some type of discussion between the township and the county engineer to say, hey, with these buses and the cars that pass school buses on Tuckahoe Road, people flying down there at 75, 80 mile an hour, what can we do as a community to get those double yellow lines should this development go through?
Department of Transportation.
Yeah, I mean,
That's,
I think your concerns are well placed, but regulation of either the state or a county road is just that, regulation of a state or a county road. So,
Sure, but a request of consideration from the municipality could help support that.
sure. I think that's
Right.
a council issue, not the planning board.
And it's been well heard, and I will address that with the other council.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
thank you. Would anybody else like to comment?
Hello, Ann Braccarella, Monroe.
Ms. Becker, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide this board is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely. All right, so I've lived here my entire life. We're going to go with over 50 years. Not really going to disclose my age here. I could have gone anywhere when I got married and we started our family, but I chose to stay here. And what I've seen, I'm definitely disheartened by. At one point, I would say Williamstown was the perfect blend, perfect balance of farmland, forest, homes, and a sense of community. And what's happening now is I don't even work 2 miles from my house, and if I don't hit the perfect window, I can't even get out of my own driveway. And as Sean Rudder just mentioned, that the traffic on that road is insane at this point. We're going to add more. We've just added more. Now you're going to add more. We're going to get nailed coming out of our driveway because someone is impatient and passing someone, and we're just trying to turn out or turn into our drive. It's unsafe. That is definitely a concern, that roadway. The more developments that we put in here continue to put a strain on our roadways, our schools, our sanitation department, the road department, emergency services, and not to mention the available natural resources, most importantly, water. When 12 Oaks was put in and that water tower storage, I'm not really sure what you call it, down by the high school was put in, we lost our well. Our well went dry. And we were essentially forced to tie into water that I personally never wanted and still don't want. We now have to have MUA water at our home. That water, if you have an open cut, burns when you get a shower. You don't have to have soap. The water burns. I never wanted the water, but I have to have it now. And my concern is I know others in the area still have wells. So if we're going to continue to build and we're going to continue to draw from our aquifers, we have the potential to harm a lot more residents that are still on a well system at their home. That's a concern for me. I grew up here. My family has been here since before this was even Williamstown. They were farmers, and water is life. Part of our family farm is actually where part of Scotland Run development is right now. It bothers me to a very large extent. The only other thing that I was concerned with, but I think was covered already, is that if the driveways aren't big enough to hold 2 vehicles, and you always have vehicles on the roadway, not to mention the size of the cul-de-sac, but the width of the road, if there is an emergency back there, you're going to have cars parked. It happens in every development we have here in town. There's cars on the roadways. Even right now, on my way over here from my house over on Tuckahoe, I cut through, I came through Church. There's a vehicle parked in front of a house. It's there all the time. I believe it's someone that lives there. I had to sit and wait for 4 other cars before I could even get around it to get here. So if the roadways aren't bigger than Church Street, that is going to be the reality in this development if people are parking on the roadway. And I just see that as a concern for busing and emergency services, really. I mean, you know, you need an ambulance back there, and it happens. I used to be an EMT. Sometimes you go down the wrong road. And if they go down the wrong road in there, how are they getting back out and around to get back to the other, you know, road A or road B? You know what I mean? That's concerning as well. So I'm just concerned about the width of the roads, parking on the roadways. I don't know if we can make that a limit to some extent, because if you're going to visit someone, you're going to park in front of their house. You're not necessarily going to park in their driveway. So you have to be somewhat understanding. But as far as the residents, there shouldn't be really parking on the roads if the road width doesn't allow adequate maneuverability for our emergency services. And then the only other thing that I had a concern with was these are rather small properties, and they're going to butt up to every single one of us that live on Tuckahoe Road and Clayton right now. Without some type of barrier, there is nothing to stop these residents from these inadequate backyard sizes from encroaching onto our lands. Our lands are natural, untouched for the most part. We have woods. We have a trail that goes through Amara Woods. I don't want someone from this development accidentally walking up into my backyard down our trail because they've crossed into our yard. I've seen it in other areas of the township where residents have encroached on the area behind them, which is our township open space, but because it's not necessarily used space, that's where their picnic table is, that's where their bench is, that's where their little backyard badminton set is. They've encroached on that space. I don't want to see that happen to any of us. So please keep that in mind when you're making these decisions with these developments. I think this is rare, actually. You're dropping a development in between existing homes. I don't think we've seen that too often here in town. But please just keep us in mind when you make these decisions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to comment? Being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public. Oh.
Hi there, my name is Renee Ward. I live right there on Tuckahoe Road. Do I have to swear in?
Sure. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide the board is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
I actually have a horse in my backyard. I've been there for 35 years. The barrier and the buffer has been a very thick wooded area. My horse is, the property is maintained with a hot wire tape, so she does not leave it. That is not going to stop somebody's kid. That is not going to stop somebody's dog. I would prefer if there was a buffer and some kind of something between us. We're not going to stop the building. And as far as the busing, that new development across the street from me, which is townhouses of 38 of them, built on an 8.5 or 9 acre property, the buses can't get in there. I see the multiple times they're blowing past the buses with cars while the kids are getting on. The trash cans and the recyclables, they have to have the men come out of the truck to put the cans onto the back of the truck because they can't get to them because of the cars parked in them roads. That is just the worst setup I've ever seen in my life, to live down there and that be right across the street from me. And you have to use a turn signal to get the heck out of your own driveway because there it is right across the street from me. And I was never even notified on that one. So with that, I would just appreciate a little bit of kindness with a large animal that I've had for multiple years, and I've been there for 35. You're going to do what you want, but I don't like living in a city. I moved from an area that was congested down to where you have a little bit of privacy, and this is what it's turned into. And it's not very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to comment? Being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would you like to address?
If I could, yeah, I'd like to have a little bit of redirect, Mr. Clemson, and also bring our traffic engineer just to address some of those traffic issues. Just really quickly, Mr. Clemson, if we could talk, I think first about, just to confirm, I know we had done turning movements regarding all various types of vehicles in the cul-de-sac. Just confirm that, we've ensured that we could get, buses, emergency vehicles, and so on and so forth through the.
We've run through all those analyses, and they all can make the turn. The cul-de-sac will actually be, because it's a 41-foot radius, which means it's 82 feet wide. We've run through the analysis. We've provided the planning board engineers with our analyses. And we're confident that the cul-de-sacs are designed properly, and I can guarantee you they are designed per residential subdivision standards.
Thank you. And then also regarding the commercial property, I guess to the north and northeast, if you could just talk a little bit about, the existing wooded areas that will remain, and why we can't put additional improvements in that area.
All right, so this back part was right now wooded. We are leaving a wooded buffer to the far east side of the property. The contractor's facility is essentially in the area to the north and east of us. And this whole area back in here, we will be separated from them by not only a wooded area, but by 2 stormwater basins. Okay, so the contractor's area is this area here. We are down here. The dark green, this is all woodlands that is to be preserved. Then we have a bioretention basin here, which is going to be planted. The entire bottom of that is going to be planted. We have another small-scale basin over here. So the nearest houses to that yard are here, so let's say here and here, and they're not that much closer than the existing houses that are along Clayton Road. So we do have buffering up here. We are providing a fence along this area. That was something that we talked to the planning board staff about. So it's actually already on the plan. So we're already doing that. It will be owned and maintained by the HOA, even though it does fall on at the rear of the fee simple lots, but it'll be in the homeowners association documents, and it will be maintained by the HOA.
And we'd also be removing any dead or diseased trees in that general area along the property line. And the reason we're putting up the fence in this area is that these are shallower lots on Clayton Road, correct? And it's a much more open area.
Okay, so the Clayton Road lots were they're a little shallower. They run from, I think it was like 490 to 690 feet deep. And the Tuckahoe lots are just shy of 700 feet. And most of the houses in here are towards the front. This one, there's one here. This one here is maybe midway back. Again, 700 foot long. This entire area here is solid woods. So we were not proposing a fencing in that area, particularly from a screening standpoint, because really with that expanse of woodlands, there's really nothing to screen. So we had not proposed it here. As opposed to the Clayton lots, we did do it for a couple of reasons. One, we did it for a little bit of noise abatement, but we also did it there because those lots are cleared. They're basically just big expanses of lawn, so there's really no buffer between the Clayton lots and us other than the existing tree row. So we thought, we agreed when we met with staff that it was the appropriate thing to do in those areas because they don't have a natural buffer.
What size fence are they? What size fence are they?
6 foot tall?
6 foot tall, white vinyl, solid,
Solid, so, yeah, privacy fence
for Clayton Road, right?
for Clayton Road.
And I think there was also a
If they
comment.
get damaged, your HOA is going to replace it.
Correct.
Okay, I was just going to ask that question, excuse me, through the chair, that it's confirmed that the HOA is responsible, will be responsible for that fencing.
I think there was also a comment, maybe from the Tuckahoe Road residents, about relocating the basins closer to the property line. That's just not feasible because of the existing drainage patterns, for one.
The drainage patterns dictate where we have the facilities, they are where they should be. And that was determined very, very early on in the design. We look at, well, where is the water flowing, what are the drainage patterns, and we kind of work out from there, not the other way. So the facilities are where they were supposed to be.
And just to confirm again, this entire layout, the number of lots, the layout, it's all in conformance with the bulk requirements of the zone, right? And we have Pinelands as a certificate of filing. Thank you.
Question, one of the issues raised was the noise coming from the commercial lot. Are you guys able to do a disclosure to the people who buy your homes? Because if they buy the home, they have no disclosure, and then they come and complain to the town, and then they try to impose noise ordinance on already existing businesses that's operated there, it's going to cause issues.
I think there might be a requirement anyways per New Jersey law, and we're kind of getting a little far afield of zoning. I mean, talking about areas of the law that this board really doesn't have jurisdiction over. I don't think. We'd obviously comply with all applicable legal requirements, and I think those would include notice disclosures.
I'm not necessarily talking about legal, it's just you're selling a product to people. When you buy it, there's a disclosure in it. They're going to expect peace and quiet, and it's not going to necessarily be that all the time. So it's not that it's mandated by law, it's just that you're going to sell the property, be up and gone, and then everybody else has to deal with the repercussions of any noise complaints, and where other people are left holding that bag. It's not that necessarily that it's a legal requirement, it's more,
Right.
what's the word?
Courtesy.
Good faith? Courtesy?
Yeah, I mean, we can look into that issue, some sort of disclosure.
Question, has any study been on the noise that coming from,
I don't think so.
is it possible? I mean, I've been here in a back end of a truck. I mean, it's loud. It's loud.
Yeah, we can't do anything about that, right?
We're not, again, we're not that much closer than the existing homes to that activity. And I think between the existing woods that we're going to keep, the fencing that we're going to put in, that between that and, yeah, I think some type of disclosure that would satisfy that requirement.
Through the chair, a couple of the residents brought up why'd you put cul-de-sacs and not make it complete circle. Could you elaborate on why you did it that way?
So part of that was, the result of where the water is flowing and the fact that this area back in here is a freshwater wetland with 175-foot buffer to that area. So this, in our opinion, was a more environmentally friendly design than running a road immediately adjacent to the wetland buffer. And that is where the water is going.
Any other questions?
Where the basin needs to be.
You answered it. It was a design reason, like you said from the beginning. You look at the
It
land,
was.
you look at the tope, and see how best it could be designed. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Did you finish all your,
I just want to bring up really quickly our traffic engineer. I know he was previously sworn. I'm just going to qualify him really quickly and just have him give a really short summary of his report, address some of the questions.
We'll accept Mr. Shropshire as a traffic engineer.
Thank you.
Traffic engineer.
Mr. Shropshire, if you just very briefly for the board, summarize the findings in your report and address some of the concerns of the neighbors.
Yeah, so as was spoken to, we were contracted to do a traffic study, which included doing traffic counts during the weekday morning and weekday PM rush hours. We conducted those on a typical September Tuesday when schools were in session to get the typical traffic condition to establish existing volumes, run capacity analysis, get what the existing delays at all the intersections are. And then we use trip generation rates from the Institute of Transportation Engineers, which do studies, do counts at facilities across the country, thousands of them, to generate trip generation rates for specific land uses. For this one, we use single-family homes. With the 49 single-family homes, during the AM peak hour, rush hour time, we'll be generating 39 trips. During the PM peak hour, PM rush hour time, we'll be generating 51 trips. We then distributed those through the roadway network based on the existing trip distribution on our existing counts. So where trips are going to and from our existing counts, excuse me. We then ran all that through our capacity analysis software to see what the impact of our traffic is on the existing conditions. The traffic generated from our proposed development will cause no changes in the level of service at Clayton and Tuckahoe and Mannington Drive. And the levels of service at the site driveway are acceptable. The increase in traffic is roughly 2% in the build conditions. So pretty negligible in terms of what you would see out on the roadway and notice. As Mr. Clemson testified to, the design of the access, circulation, driveways, parking on site all meets or exceeds RSIS standards. And we'll be working with the county on any improvements along the frontage to meet their standards.
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions, Mr. Shropshire?
Anybody have any questions? No. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you.
I just have a question to our professionals.
Okay, good.
This plan for both of these, with the type of land it is, where it's at, is this the best plan, you think?
Well, being that if I were to design plans, which I've designed many, you look at the drainage and how the pattern of drainage is, you look at things such as wetlands, buffers, and the bulk standards of the zone, designed according to RSI standards. So being that this meets all of these criteria that I would normally look at for a layout, this is probably how I would lay it out myself.
And they're not asking for any variances.
They're not asking for any variances, there's no requirement for buffering from residential to residential.
Right. Thank you.
Would you like to summarize?
Sure. So, Chairman Tespey summarized. So you have an application before you that
Can I ask you something?
Very good.
Through the chair? Oh, good, she's there. Oh,
No,
yeah,
we're
if you're gonna
good.
put this, ask them for this disclosure, is that gonna be on the deed?
Well, one of the comments I was going to make about a disclosure is, I'm happy if the board makes and passes a motion to approve the application and wants to include with that a condition that the HOA or other covenants are, to my satisfaction as the board's attorney, I think that's something that can be accepted. I would caution anybody against a deed restriction which privileges or permits anyone to conduct activities on their property which are inconsistent with any provision of the township's ordinances or state law. I understand that there's a pre-existing use there, but some of the things we're touching on here aren't zoning per se, and you can't waive those things. I think I appreciate Mr. Is it Neri? Mr. Neri's comments and wants to make sure everybody's aware of it, and I can work with the applicant's attorney, either a covenant of some sort, putting people on notice. But that doesn't sanction someone from engaging in activity which is otherwise inconsistent with the ordinance.
And then when they, let's say years to come, they sell the property, then how would that new person be?
Well, I think that my thought would be in the HOA docs, and usually when you buy a property that's subject to an HOA, there's a requirement that you get those HOA documents ahead of time. Whether or not people read them or not, it's a different story. But they're there. And to the point I think the person made is that at least you can say they were there. So in any event, if the board is inclined to make a motion to approve the application, to summarize, the application is for a use which is permitted in the zone, that there are no requirements for bulk area variances. There are a handful of design waivers which have been summarized by your engineer and the applicant's engineer as essentially being de minimis in nature or deferred to final approval. It sounds like there are a handful of conditions which have been contemplated by the board based on input from the public, which would be a requirement of 4-foot black-on-black fences along the large-scale swales, a deed restriction or other covenant limiting the conversion of garages from garage use to some other habitable space, to improve the landscaping along the east side to the satisfaction of the board's professionals, to produce as part of final approval, a condition of this approval, that for final approval, the Pineland credits need to be established. To the extent that fencing is being proposed, it would be maintained by the HOA. To the extent there are dead trees on the site, they would be removed. Those are the notes that I made in terms of conditioning and approval. I'm happy, if I've missed someone, I'm happy to entertain it, but I think there's that I work with the applicant's attorney to identify an appropriate covenant or provision in the HOA relating to uses off-site.
I will entertain a motion with those requirements.
Motion to approve with the requirements per solicitor.
Is there a second?
Second.
We'll have a roll call vote.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Ms. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Kozak?
With the advice of our professionals, yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Frederelli?
Yes.
Mr. Scardino?
Yes.
Mr. Hessel?
Yes.
Okay, preliminaries approved.
Thank you very much.
This other one's gonna be a long one too.
Yes.
You guys want to break?
As long as it gets out of warranty. Sure. Wheels fall off later.
We're gonna take a 5-minute break. So anybody has to use the restroom.
Somebody's missing.
Good evening.
Somebody's missing.
Just 1 second.
Oh, sure.
Sorry.
How you doing? Very good. Oh, take care.
One of each. No, wait.
One of each? One of each.
Yeah, one of each.
Okay, wait.
Perfect. That's great.
That's it.
These are just color exhibits, same plan as what's in the package, but just with a little color, a little easier to read.
All right, we're ready.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Damian Del Duca. I'm with the law firm of Del Duca, Lewis & Burr. It's good to see you again this evening. I'm here tonight representing Bruce Paparone, Inc. I have with me various members of the Paparone team, including Mr. Paparone, Bruce Paparone, and Jeff Goodwin, who you'll hear from tonight with some testimony. We also have our civil engineer, Eric Littlehales with CES. We're here tonight for a property that we call Smithfield Estates. It's 147 acres currently farmed, located, the primary frontage is on Glassboro Cross Keys Road. If you look on the right, you'll see an aerial exhibit that I've marked A1, and we're handing out copies of the exhibits now as we speak. Exhibit A1 shows an aerial with the proposed community superimposed onto the aerial. North is at the top of the page. Glassboro Cross Keys Road is at the top of the page, running left to right. There's also some frontage, not much, on Pittman Downer Road. And then on the other end of the overall tract, which is 147 acres, there's frontage along a narrow portion of 322 or Glassboro Williamstown Road. There are various tax lots. I won't read them all. They're all part of the record, part of the application, many tax lots. And the proposal is to subdivide, or really re-subdivide those many tax lots and subdivide that 147 acres into 181 age-restricted single-family building lots, 166 single-family building lots that will not be age-restricted, 1 pump station lot, 11 open space lots, and 3 commercial lots. And the commercial lots that are proposed are along Glassboro Cross Keys Road. Those are 3 commercial lots. The history here is that in December, specifically December 14, 2023, we appeared before you, and at that time, we got preliminary major subdivision approval for Smithfield Estates. And at that time, you granted approval for 349 building lots, and you memorialized that approval in a resolution adopted on January 11, 2024, which is Resolution 36-2023. The approval that we got in 2023, memorialized in 2024 for preliminary approval, had no variances and no waivers, a so-called by right application. We're back before you tonight for two reasons, primarily. One is that we seek amended preliminary major subdivision approval. And we seek amended approval really because there's been some minor changes to the plan. And the principal changes to the plan are that, number one, we've reduced the number of building lots by 2. So instead of 349 building lots, there are now 347, of which 181 will be restricted to seniors and 166 will be non-restricted or family lots. The other reason or primary change in the plan is the two main roads that are shown on the plans, which Mr. Littlehouse is going to show you in a moment, shifted slightly to line up with driveways for the Fazio facility on the opposite side of Cross Keys Road. So for traffic safety reasons, and based on some discussions we've had with the county, we realigned those streets to line up with driveways across, which is a good idea from a traffic safety perspective. And as a result of that, and to be safe, we applied for amended preliminary major subdivision approval. But the amendment is really very limited and very minor, and in fact, we're reducing the number of building lots, as I mentioned. The other reason we're here tonight is for final major subdivision approval for the first 2 phases. As your professionals have noted in their letters, there are 12 proposed phases. A community of this size is almost always built in phases. And there are various reasons for that, and some of which is not building all the infrastructure at one time, because it takes a long time to sell 347 homes. So we've broken this into 12 phases, 6 phases for the senior community and 6 phases for the unrestricted community. So we seek final major subdivision approval for phases 1A and 1B. And where you see A, that's the senior side, and B is the unrestricted side. So we seek final subdivision approval for phases 1A and 1B. And as a planning board, you know that the purpose of final subdivision or site plan approval is to confirm that we meet the various conditions of preliminary subdivision approval. And that's what the applicant has to show when they return for final approval after having already obtained preliminary approval. There are no variances associated with this application. There are no variances associated with the changes that I mentioned. There are no waivers associated with the changes that I mentioned that I'm aware of. However, there are, I believe it's 4 design waivers that are called out in your professionals' letters that we'll address in testimony momentarily. Those are not the result of any change from the prior plans or the prior approval. They've been picked up in this review, which is fine, and we'll address them tonight. So we need those few design waivers. And lastly, your ordinance, specifically section 175-83B, talks about the duration or effect of preliminary approval. So when you get preliminary major subdivision approval, as an applicant, you're protected against changes in the ordinance for a period of 3 years. That's when you apply for just preliminary. And when you get final, you're protected for 2 years against changes in the ordinance. We're here tonight for amended preliminary subdivision approval, which, if granted, will give us protection for 3 years against any changes in the underlying zoning requirements. The ordinance recognizes for communities or tracts involving more than 50 acres, the board has the discretion to grant a longer period of protection. And when you look at the language of that, it's basically language that says it's up to the board, and it's based on the number of units, the size of the community, and the time that it's likely going to take to build out the community. Mr. Goodwin, who's with the Paparone organization, will talk to you about timing based on a lot of experience. None of us know for sure how long it will take. That'll be dictated by market conditions. But we are going to need more than 3 years to build out this community. So we are seeking an extension of the period of protection under Section 175-83B. Instead of 3 years, we propose 10 years based on the testimony you'll hear. We don't think it will take 10 years, but we'd rather not do this twice. I suspect you'd rather we not do it twice and have us come back for an extension later on. So we thought that would be appropriate for the board's consideration. I only have 2 planned witnesses tonight. Our primary witnesses are civil engineer Mr. Littlehales, as I mentioned, with CES, and Jeff Goodwin with the Paparone Organization will also provide some brief testimony. As far as exhibits, I've mentioned A1. There's only 2 other exhibits that I have planned for. Exhibit A2 is the current proposed site plan. It's a color rendered plan prepared by CES, and it's dated today, May 4th, 2026. This is the subdivision plan that you have in your package, but with color and zoomed in so it's easier to see. And Exhibit A3 looks the same as Exhibit A2, except it is the prior plan that was granted preliminary approval dated December 4, 2023, and it's called a graphic color exhibit, also prepared by CES. We brought you that just so you can see the differences between the 2 plans, i.e. see the changes for which we seek amended subdivision approval. We have your professionals' review letters, the Collier's letter dated April 22nd, and Mr. Dockney's letter dated April 17th. I don't think we have any objections to any of the comments in the letters. If anything comes up, we'll identify that during the course of the hearing, and we'll provide testimony to address the request for testimony as set forth in their letter. But I believe the applicant is in a position to agree to a condition of approval that they'll comply with the recommendations set forth in those 2 letters, other than anything that may come up during the course of tonight's hearing. Mr. Chairman, that's really the overview that I have for you. Unless you have any questions for me, I have 2 witnesses to be sworn, and we're going to begin with Mr. Littlehales.
Let's swear in your witnesses.
So, Mr. Littlehales, will you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll provide the board tonight is the truth and nothing but the truth? Mr. Chairman, before we go on, I see Ms. Pellegrini indicating, would you
Yeah,
would
we
like
need
us
to, go over completeness and deem the application complete.
Okay, let's do that. We do that first?
So preliminary amended can be deemed complete, subject to the following being made conditions of approval. Under section 3.1 of our letter, number H2, open space report. Number H5B, development schedule data report. And that's under preliminary requirements. And then for final, we also need made conditions of approval. Item A, 1 through 3, plan of lots. Item B, 5A through E, 6, 7, and 8, common space organizational docs. We have no objections to these being made conditions of approval.
So in other words, assuming the applicant agrees to make them conditions of approval, you have no objection to the board deeming the application complete?
That's correct.
And the applicant has no objections to those conditions or those requirements becoming conditions of approval.
So the board were inclined to someone to make a motion to deem the application complete, subject to those conditions. I think that would be appropriate.
Make the motion to make the application complete with the recommendations. Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? None.
Application's complete.
Thank you. Mr. Littlehales, can you begin by briefly reviewing your professional background?
Yeah, Eric Littlehales, professional licensed engineer in the state of New Jersey for approximately 23 years. Graduated from civil engineers from Loyola University in 1996.
Mr. Littlehales, you've been accepted by this board and others similar to it as an expert before?
Yes, I have.
So I would recommend the board accept Mr. Littlehales as an expert in your site civil engineer.
We'll accept again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Littlehales, were you present during my introductory comments?
Yes, I was.
Were they accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, they were, sir.
Using the 3 exhibits that I've identified, can you give everyone an overview of the proposed layout of the plan, focusing on the changes compared to what this board's already approved?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to take down the aerial exhibit, which is A1, and I'm going to focus
focus on A2 and 3, which basically look identical, probably from the distance you're sitting at. Doesn't look too much difference. The differences arise in our driveway connections, our roadway connections out to Glassboro Crosskeys Road, Stanton Bridge Road, which moved a little further west, and then Rockport Drive, which also moved a little bit west. Both of these now line up directly across from the Fazio development across the street. Junction, both of those are divided driveways coming in. So in completing that layout, it did affect a little bit of the overall unit count. The original December 23 had 349 approved lots. We are at 347 approved lots, and the mix is currently 166 single-family, 181 restricted. In addition, working with the Paparone team, we made some minor modifications in the proposed clubhouse area for the seniors. Park lot got revised slightly to allow for a drop-off in front of the clubhouse, and the parking lot got shifted around, and some of the amenities at the rear of the clubhouse got slightly adjusted, but are still being proposed. In regards to the remaining portion of the lot, we still have upward of 65 total basins. Most of them are small-scale infiltration basins, taking in less than 2.5 acre drainage area. We drain in two directions. We drain down to the southeast of the site and then to the southwest of the site towards Orchard Drive. That's still all the same. The majority of the layout stayed the same as what was approved in December of 2023.
Does this application comply with the applicable residential site improvement standards?
Yes, it does. We are proposing the required amount of parking on-street and off-street. In addition, per what was agreed upon at the original preliminary approval, the residential streets in the all eights are 30 feet wide, so they're allowed to park on two sides of the street. Where the age restricted has less amount of cars, we're proposing 28-foot wide roadway and allowed to park on one side. Both developments have two-car garages and a two-car driveway. So per RSIS would be they count 3.5 spaces using require 2.4 spaces per unit. So we're well within the parking requirement for RSIS.
Is it correct, Mr. Littlehales, that this property is located in a redevelopment area?
That's correct.
And that redevelopment area is subject to a redevelopment plan called the Orchard Drive redevelopment plan?
That's correct.
Does this proposed subdivision plan comply with all applicable requirements of that redevelopment plan?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And do the changes that you've outlined, the realignment of the roads, I guess the reduction of 2 lots, and any of the other changes that you mentioned, do any of them require or cause us to require any type of relief?
From the redevelopment code,
From the redevelopment plan or any applicable ordinance provision? Again, just the changes for now. Okay. Does this plan, to the best of your knowledge, comply with all applicable zoning ordinance requirements to the extent they may apply?
yes.
Okay. Now, the review letters call out several design waivers, and I'm going to turn to Ms. Pellegrini's letter dated April 22nd, page 7, section 5.1. There are 3 lighting standards that are called out for which we apparently seek or require a waiver. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Can you review those requirements, explain the waivers that we need and why?
Sure. 5.1, which is the lighting section, comment 1 is requesting to provide a minimum of 0.3 foot candles along the roadways. 0.3 foot candles, I looked at it for a standard overhead Lancaster electric light. We need a street light almost every other lot we're proposing. For developments that we've done in the past in Monroe Township and throughout South Jersey, that will be an extensive amount of streetlights ultimately being turned over to Washington Township, or sorry, Monroe Township. 5.2 addresses additional streetlights at curbs. We have added some additional streetlights. We agreed to look at that standard and apply the necessary lights in those areas. And then item 3 is at the intersections of 1-foot candle, we agreed to add the additional necessary lights there at that location.
So is it correct that the waiver relief that we may require for comment 1 and 2 in section 5.1, those are all shown on our preliminary plan, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so that's nothing new.
That's correct.
All right. And comment 3 in section 5.1, is that, will comply with that 1.0 foot candle that's required under the ordinance?
Yes, we talked with the applicant, we agreed to add the 1.0 foot candles at the intersection, so then they require an additional light to be added at the intersection.
Okay, so we don't need that waiver. Section 5.2 of the same letter, on page 8, describes a waiver relating to trees. Can you address the waiver relief that we need and why?
So the waiver related to trees is surveying all trees within 5 inches or greater throughout the site, mostly in the disturbed area. As the majority of 147 acres was farmed, there are some larger areas of the trees that are relatively wooded along the edges that are going to be impacted. We agreed, and through discussion with the professionals, to work with them to address this item, but I guess we would say on a limited basis, try to find, more specifically, the larger specimen trees in those areas, and then determine what we can save and what we need to replant or compensate for, but not locate every 5-inch tree throughout the site.
Okay. In Ms. Pellegrini's letter, section 6 on page 9, there, comment 2 states that basin access should be provided to all basins, including small-scale infiltration basins for maintenance and inspection purposes. So my first question is, how many basins do we propose in this community?
Throughout the site, we have roughly 65 total basins throughout the site.
Okay. And how do we propose to address that comment in Ms. Pellegrini's letter?
Provide access to them as both, we're going to propose for discussion with her office, providing a curb cut in those areas to make it easy to access vehicles for one of them into those areas to get down into the basins and around the basins.
So we'll work with Ms. Pellegrini to address that comment.
That's correct.
Same page, section 6.0, sheet 9, comment 2. Ms. Pellegrini recommends that the fencing height surrounding the pickleball courts, which is in the senior community, be increased to 10 feet to enhance security and prevent pickleballs from leaving the court area. Can you address that comment, please?
Yeah, sure. The pickleball fence that's currently proposed is 4 feet high. For age-restricted, I guess you could say pickleball users, maybe going at a little lower speed, we propose a 4-foot fence. Aesthetically, it looks better than obviously a 10-foot fence. We also think a 4-foot fence would be appropriate for the type of users that are using the facility. In addition, the applicant, Chaperone Homes, is building Whitehall Gardens, has currently built a pickleball court down there with a 4-foot high fence, and don't seem to have any complaints or issues with the residents down there with balls going over the fence. And if they do, there is some lawn area surrounding this. It's not, we're not right up against houses or up against parking lots. There is a little bit of separation between parking, purple rows, or the building itself, that people can just walk through the fence and then get the ball on their back. So we believe the 4-foot fence is appropriate for the type of users and the location of these pickleball courts.
So that's one comment in Ms. Pellegrini's letter, that we do seek the board to excuse us from complying with if they, as we expect, would impose a condition that we comply with the comments in that letter, correct?
That's correct.
Are there any other comments that you're aware of, Mr. Littlehales, in Ms. Pellegrini's letter that are responses, anything other than will comply?
I believe the remaining ones that we will comply.
Great. In Mr. Dockney's letter, he asked us to provide the status of outside agency approvals that are required. Can you please do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the outside agency approvals are all currently in process. We have the revised plans back into the planning board. We are currently at the JDB for our wetlands land use permits to fill our wetlands and for our stormwater discharge. We currently are working our way through the Monroe MUA with our water and sewer application, in hopes to get that signed off soon, to be able to move it on, our sewer permit on to the GCUA and ultimately the state for the MUA, and get our water approval under the master permit. The only outside agency permit that has been applied for, which we're currently in process to do in the next week or so, is our Gloucester County Soil Conservation District, which will be applied for shortly. Oh, and sorry.
Go ahead.
NJDOT, because we do have an exit out on US 322, we have a access permit and a utility opening permit application into NJDOT going on.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, that's all the questions I have for Mr. Littlehales.
Okay. Hear from our professionals.
I have a concern.
Let's hear from our professionals.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You may have another witness.
I have one other witness who's very brief.
Okay. Let's swear him in.
Jeffrey Goodwin.
Mr. Goodwin, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide this board is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. Mr. Goodwin, what is your title and responsibilities with Bruce Paparone, Inc.?
I'm the land development manager for the company, and I oversee entitlements such as this, and then the installation of infrastructure so our company can construct homes.
And is it correct that you have intimate personal knowledge about this proposed community?
I definitely do, yes.
Okay. The first question I have, it relates to a comment in Ms. Pellegrini's letter, comment 3, in section 6.0. And that comment requests testimony regarding access to the residential clubhouse amenities, including the proposed hours of operation. Can you address that comment first?
Yeah, well, first in terms of access, as the board is probably aware, we have built a clubhouse at Whitehall Gardens, and this clubhouse is intended to be similar size, similar features, and it will have a key card entry so that people coming off the street, if they're not a resident, they can't enter the clubhouse. If you don't have a key card, you will not be able to enter.
Okay. How will pickleball access work?
Well, the outdoor amenities, there will be gates, but there won't be any other specific security of them. But in this clientele, there's usually a lot of people keeping an eye out, and they do a good job of policing to make sure that the non-residents are not using the facilities.
Okay. We also seek, and I'm just looking for the ordinance, I'm not checking any scores on my phone. Section 175-83B, I referenced in my opening comments, correct, Mr. Goodwin?
You did.
And is it correct that the applicant seeks an extended period of protection for the amended preliminary subdivision approval that we seek?
We do.
Okay. And this has 147 acres, correct, this community?
Correct.
The ordinance says that the board may provide a longer time as determined to be reasonable, taking into consideration the number of dwelling units, economic conditions, and the comprehensiveness of the development. Why do we seek a longer period of protection from this board for this community?
Yeah, well, again, starting back at Whitehall Gardens, that's 214 lots. By the time we started to the time we finish is going to be about 8 years. This here is 347 lots. Now, granted, we're going to be working concurrently with both the single-family and the age-restricted at the same time. But given, I'll say, what could be some economic uncertainty, we just want to have a level of protection to know if there is an economic downturn that we have the flexibility and we can continue to build even if things slow down. Under kind of the best case scenario, which we're probably seeing that it would be a 7-year build out of just the homes to finish all 347. And then, I'm sure you can see the amount of infrastructure work even at the beginning and at the end, is also substantial. So overall, from start to finish, it's probably an 8-year project, community to be built. And so we just want to, have that extra layer of protection so that, if things change, we're not worried that maybe the zoning could change or create some other problem that, for the completion of the community.
Now, tonight, we also seek final major subdivision approval for phases 1A and 1B, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And is it correct that we'll come back for final as you sell units and prepare to construct the next phase or phases?
Absolutely. Yeah. Can I just interject one thing?
Sure.
With the height of the pickleball fence, I had talked to Pam earlier today, and I had told her that we would find a 6-foot-high fence acceptable on the pickleball. We've built 2 communities or 2 pickleball courts with 4-foot fences. It hasn't been a problem, but we do know that I believe at Sterling Glen and at the Greens, I think their pickleball fences are 6-foot high. So if the board would prefer to have that 6-foot-high fence, we would be agreeable to that. But I think, as Mr. Littlehale said, we haven't had any issues with the 4-foot-high fence. But to be done with it tonight, a 6-foot-high fence would certainly be acceptable to us.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, that's all the questions I have for Mr. Goodwin, and that really concludes our plan presentation, obviously subject to any comments from your professionals, answer any questions that the board may have, and after hearing from any members of the public.
Okay, let's hear from our professionals.
Okay, the applicant has outlined the design waivers accurately from our report. There is another one for us to accept approximate maintenance costs as outlined in the maintenance plan for their HOA docs.
I'm sorry, Pam, I couldn't hear what that was.
To accept approximate maintenance costs as outlined in the maintenance plan.
Yes. So in the letter, it's attached to the application. Are you talking about a waiver from 140J or 113F?
Oh, so I do see in your letter on page 12, and you're right, I apologize, I didn't address that. Here, let me give that to you. The ordinance has certain requirements. That's okay. Well, hold on a second, let me identify it first. The ordinance has certain requirements relating to payments and whatnot, and as Ms. Pellegrini points out in the letter, we will require full registration under DCA rules, and so as a result of that, we seek a waiver. If there's anything you want to add to that, Mr. Goodwin?
Just that, I don't know intimately what the township rules are, but DCA has very specific rules, and DCA really has jurisdiction. We have to do what DCA's rules are, and to the extent that there may be some ambiguity between them, we want to avoid that. So that's why we want to do this, because I personally, and a prior community, had a run-in with this exact issue. And
The issue we're talking about here is the obligation of the developer to pay the per-lot fee to the
correct,
association.
and that'll be specified through our DCA registration. We'll comply with all of the planned residential requirements to do that, but there's very specific requirements for that in terms of the timing, in terms of when you have to do that, that I'm sure is probably not specified to the same level in the township ordinance. And to the extent there could be some discrepancy between them, we just want to be able to comply with DCA, who really has jurisdiction over it.
The purpose of those requirements are to make sure that a home builder doesn't leave an HOA in an economically difficult position, and that it's a well-funded and appropriately funded HOA, and the DCA has robust rules regarding that for that reason, and we have to comply with that.
But if it's not so would you accept, not that the state won't be really good at enforcing it, right? But it would seem like the reason it's in the township's ordinance is so that the township has at its disposal the ability to enforce it either in an HOA or document or something to that effect. Do you have any objection to although granting a waiver, conditioning the application on compliance with those sections enforceable by the township.
What we would like possibly is to maybe have a condition of approval that the professionals will review the HOA documents to ensure that the protections are in there versus trying to apply the township ordinance to something that DCA has jurisdiction over.
So there will be a recorded set of HOA documents, and we have no objection to including those requirements in those HOA documents so that everyone on the township side knows that they're there, and then it's part of our record title.
And similarly, there's another waiver that's requested, 140J3, talking about developer shall provide the township with a detailed accounting of the homeowners association's calculated operating expenses and subsequent homeowners association fees. Is it your position that the state's regs require that as well and satisfy that obligation?
They do. We have to file an annual report every year with DCA that has all that specified in it.
Is that prior to, it seemed to me that requiring that as part of the initial setup of the HOA is what they're trying to get at here, to make sure that there's a budget in place and that the HOA is adequately funded. So if there's a state reg in place that covers that,
There is.
as long as it's in the HOA, reference in the HOA document, I have no problem recommending.
Yeah, and we will submit those HOA documents to you for review and approval.
Yeah.
You want me to continue?
Yep, thanks.
Sorry.
Okay, so, under general comments, the applicant has indicated that they would work with professionals to comply with all the general comments. And as the applicant has also mentioned that, about a compromise of 6-foot height pickleball courts versus 10-foot that was recommended. Just want to read some data on pickleball courts. The optimal height is 10 foot, standard height is 8 foot, minimum height is 4 to 6 feet, which can be used to avoid obstructing views, but as many players note, it often allows too many balls to leave the court. So I would recommend that we go with the compromise of 6 feet to the board. And that would conclude my report, other than the other standard fees and obligations.
Thank you. We issued a report, the first one to the board on our new Artheon letter, if you didn't notice that. April 17th last year. Again, I take no objection to the testimony that's been provided. As a variance-free application, the design waivers have already been over. They've addressed a few comments I did have in this report. Even with these amended plans, they have addressed all of the comments added from the previous report from 3 years ago where they received a preliminary approval. Only question I have is a brief update, or the 3 commercial lots at the frontage. Is it the intent that those would be just come in at a separate application at any time, or are they going to be one of the particular 6 to 12 phases of the development?
So first of all, as to site plan for commercial, clearly, we would come back for that. As to subdivision, correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, 2 of the 3 lots are part of phases 1A and 1B. Is that correct, Mr. Littlehouse?
That is correct, yes.
And what about the lot to the right as you face those exhibits?
So the smaller lot, and the next lot over, again, will be part of phase 1. Basically, they're going to get created because you're creating right away and such, so they're physically going to get created as lots. The third lot here, which is close to Pittman down the road, that one wouldn't fully be created. I believe it's until phase 3A, which is the third phase of the OH. So that the physical overall building lot wouldn't be created until that submission would come through the preliminary on that submission.
So specifically, the lots to the left on the exhibit, which I guess is the west, they're part of phase 1B specifically, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, then tying it into, I think you said would be a
which one?
7-year build-out for the entirety of the project. Where would the commercial fit into that timeframe in your guesstimate? I understand you don't, obviously, there's no site plan before the board at this time.
Yeah, we have talked to commercial users, and in general, we've gotten a good reception, but they want to see the rooftops before, anything could possibly move forward. So I would say probably towards the latter end of that period, not earlier on.
Okay, fair enough. I don't have any additional
Can
questions or
you
comments.
define 1A and 1B on there?
Yes, so Mr. Littlehess, can you show everybody where 1A and B is using Exhibit A2, which is the current rendered site plan?
Sure, just briefly kind of summarizing where it is. 1A and 1B would construct Rockport Drive coming in off of Frosties Road and Stanton Bridge Drive, and then Newcastle Lane. And the houses that front on Newcastle Lane in the beginning of Stanford Bridge Drive, roughly the extent of Phase 1A, which is the single family. So that's 1B, Phase 1A, which is the all age, which would be the part of Rockport Drive coming down, not including the clubhouse, and the first, I believe, is 30 homes along Rockport Drive. In addition to that, the sanitary sewer has to get constructed, so we have to build the sanitary sewer down to the pump station, and then enforcement obviously going back. So I believe it's a total combination of approximately 50 residential units between the two that will make up Phase 1A and 1B.
And using that exhibit, is it correct that the seniors on the right or east side and the all age is on the left or west side, generally speaking?
Correct, yeah, there's a large dark dashed line moving to the east, or to the south of that line is the 181 restricted. Everything to the west of that is 166 single family.
Thank you.
Question. So when do, the exit that goes out to 322, you don't anticipate even having that till way in the later phases?
Yeah, that's currently shown in phase, hold on.
It's shown in Phase 2A.
Correct.
2A.
Yeah, yeah. Because the water loops around at that location, so that is anticipated in Phase 2A. So relatively early in the project.
Also, I had another concern that wasn't brought up. I was looking at your landscaping schedule, and a couple of the fountain grass is kind of being marked as invasive spreads. There's a few species on here that are kind of not native. Would you guys be more amenable to getting
Yeah,
more native
absolutely.
species?
We'd be happy to work with the board professionals to make the substitution.
Yeah, specifically,
Chris,
okay. No, I was just pointing out a couple of the ones on the thing that I found that were more invasive. No, just known invasive species.
I thought you were going to suggest which ones to put in, that's why I said.
No, I'm not. I'm just flagging a couple of the, so like you have the, where is that? The fountain grass, getting flagged as invasive, and the Liriope is not officially invasive, but it spreads and displaces a lot of native species, so.
Again,
So
we'll
we
be
could just take
happy
it.
to work with your planner on those and any other that you might have found.
Gotcha, thanks.
Through the chair?
Yes.
You are. The phases and asking for the extended period of time, how will that affect the infrastructure as far as the road completion in those areas? Would they be completed before they would go to the next phase?
They would provide an accommodation, a temporary accommodation. Perhaps turn around.
No, what I mean is actually the surface, I'm sorry, the surface of the road. Would that be completed before they went to the next phase?
Yes, and being is fine, whatever is.
Or would we be waiting for 10 years or 8 years until the end, and that's when they would put the top coat and finish?
That would not be my understanding. They could
Elaborate.
elaborate, but generally when you're coming in for final for certain phases, you complete that phase
with the top coat, it's completed. Just so, you're asking for more time, which is fine.
Yeah.
But that they're not waiting for you to finish this end
No,
until they get their top coat.
I understand. Again, looking at what we've actually done, performed at Whitehall Gardens,
Right.
that was 8 phases, okay? We're currently building phases 7 and 8. We just recently, so all the infrastructure's in for 7 and 8 except for the top paving, we're building houses. We do have the whole rest of the community top paved. But that happens in phases, not like we finish phase 1, top it, and then go to phase 2. It can't work that way. But in terms of as soon as we can, we do it. And like I said, like it's not words. We've demonstrated that already within the town.
You know my.
No, I understand. No,
The residents said, "Let anybody
our
finish our
objective
road."
is to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all, just
Yep.
so that it's done. Thank you.
Not really related, but will we be 2 separate HOAs?
It will be 2 separate HOAs. Yeah, because the services at the age restricted will be typical services for age restricted with the clubhouse and pickleball and such, and the all age would have typical services for the all age. But both of the HOAs will require a DCA registration because they're more than 100 lots. So the same condition with what we talked about the HOA earlier, it's for both HOAs.
Question for you about the parking. You talked about 2.4. Are you going to put any restrictions on changing the garages into living spaces with the HOA? So it doesn't take away from the parking spots that you're counting on?
So we're not proposing any such restrictions?
Yeah, we.
And explain why, and then we'll hear from the board, of course.
Well, again, at say a Whitehall Gardens, people don't even park on the street in the age restricted. In the all age, we've built these same homes in Hainesport recently, and Lumberton. We're finishing up a community, and we're not running into the problem of people not using their driveways and garages. So we're not proposing any specific requirement that for some reason in the future, if one of the homeowners wants to come in and amend something like that, that would be their case to make to the town at that point.
Yeah, but they don't come in front of us, right? They go for a building permit. That's the issue.
Yeah, if there's no deed restriction, then you're limited by ordinance. Whatever the ordinance prohibits, they're bound by. It's true.
Fencing?
They would go to zoning first,
Well, to convert, what would they do?
convert it.
To rec room?
Would it- I'm saying they would go.
Really, to do anything, you'll need a zoning permit, at least, so.
Fences around the large-scale basins?
We don't propose fences around the basins. That was what was approved at preliminary.
How deep are the basins?
Mr. Littlehales, how deep are the large-scale basins?
The large-scale basins are roughly 4 to 5 feet deep.
And will they infiltrate?
They'll partially infiltrate, and then there's the discharge out to the wetlands, or the eastern discharge and the western discharge goes down to Ultra Drive and connects into the existing traffic Ultra Drive.
Would you object to having 4-foot vinyl black fence around those 4 feet deep basins if they're going to have water in them?
Our preference would be not to. This was reviewed before, and that was not required then.
We've been kind of requiring it lately.
I can get that sense, yeah. I heard it earlier tonight. I'll let Mr. Goodwin address that. Our preference would be not to do it for various reasons, but Mr. Goodwin, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, again, our preference would be not to do it, because in our experience, fences keep, say, emergency responders, slows them down and doesn't slow down kids, it's been a while since I was a kid, but a fence never stopped me from getting to somewhere I wanted to go. So that's kind of our view. We don't believe it's required, and our preference would be to not have that be mandated.
See, we worry about the toddlers. We worry about toddlers strolling into a water lake, a water-filled basin. That's why we request it.
We have been requiring it.
We've been requiring it.
I wasn't here, but apparently we did.
We did, yeah, we were in a little, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we talked about that.
Well, what I would suggest then is, could we, and I'm going to go over to exhibit
A2.
A2. Being the age-restricted section here, I would ask that, there's certainly not families living there, so we would ask that, it not be imposed there. And here, this is the basin ZA. We would just ask that, maybe we could loop around the property line or loop around, but we would, we'll be okay if the board's acceptable of fencing the 4-foot-high fence around here, because there will be families here, but ask that it not be imposed on the age restricted, because, that's, it's not a family community.
Yours for Okay.
Can we talk about the waiver regarding the extension? You're citing
Sure.
17583, right?
Yes, it's not a waiver, but it's a separate section under your ordinance that says this board can extend the period of protection.
So I pulled up what I don't have my Cox handbook in front of me, but it's all right. It looks like it mirrors the MLUL's provisions for extension of approval.
Under section A, it does.
Right.
In subsection B, it's where it talks about the board having the discretion to extend it for large tracts.
They're asking for 10, but we don't have to, we can give them some compromise.
Right, it does say,
between.
the ordinance does say, I've never seen, it's not consistent with my understanding of the MLU. I've never seen an extension given at 10 years. I get the reality of the absorption in the market and the length that it's going to take, but 10 years seems like a long time, and there may be changes in the interim, right? That you want to protect yourself against.
That's,
right?
yeah, that's the idea, certainly.
But 10 years is a long time to ask the board to,
But he's not saying that the book says 10 years, he's asking for 10.
your ordinance, let me read you, section B, section 175-83B
83.
says, in the case of a subdivision or site plan for an area of 50 acres or more, that's what we have, the planning board may grant the rights referred to in subsection A1, 2, and 3, which are the extension rights, above, for such a period of time longer than 3 years, as shall be determined by the planning board to be reasonable, taking into consideration the number of dwelling units and non-residential floor areas permissible under preliminary approval, economic conditions, and the comprehensiveness of the development. The applicant may apply for thereafter, and the planning board may thereafter grant an extension of preliminary approval for such additional period of time as shall be determined by the planning board to be reasonable, taking into consideration the number of dwelling units and the non-residential floor area permissible under the preliminary approval, and the potential number of dwelling units and the non-residential floor area of the section or sections awaiting final approval, economic conditions, and the comprehensiveness of the development, provided that if the design standards have been revised, such revised standards may govern. So I'm not sure what it's getting us, because it says if we go more than what's permitted in A, we can give you the extension. I suppose it's a protection against zoning change, but not the design standards?
I'm just, it's protection against changes in the ordinance, in the zoning ordinance, not just zoning changes per se. I'm just looking at the MLUL as we're talking. So,
I get that. I get that it
Yeah.
protects against zoning, but this extra would not appear to protect against changes in design standards.
so in section 49 of the land use law, and I apologize for looking at my phone, but this is where I'm looking at it, subsection D, it says, in the case of a subdivision for an area of 50 acres or more, the planning board may grant the rights referred to in subsection A, B, and C above for such period of time longer than 3 years, as shall be determined by the planning board to be reasonable, taking into consideration the number of dwelling units, economic conditions. So it does parrot the ordinance that I read to. Now, in the sections A, B, and C above, it says that when you have preliminary for 3 years in the normal situation, the general terms and conditions on which preliminary approval were granted shall not be changed, including but not limited to use requirements, layout and design standards for streets, curbs, sidewalks, lot size, yard dimensions, and off-track improvements, and in the case of any site plan, any requirement peculiar to site plan approval. And then it says, except changes relating to public health and safety. So that's in 49A, Mr. Campbell. So I think Monroe has followed that portion of the statute. Our thought was, in light of that statutory language, that the board does have the right to grant it. Doesn't have to grant it, admittedly, but clearly the ordinance is intended to follow the land use laws section that says you can grant it, and you've applied a reasonableness standard, and we're not going to have this community built out in the next 3 years. So that really exposes the applicant to risk that we think is unnecessary.
It looks like it parrots it identically, right?
Yeah, I haven't compared it side by side, but if it's
Yeah.
not identical, it's
Pretty
close.
But both say that in this bonus extension, if there are revised design standards, that those revised design standards govern. It says that in the MLUL, it says that, it's the last sentence of 49D.
49D or B?
In our ordinance, our ordinance is B. In the MLUL, it's 49D.
Yeah, just give me a second. So at the very end of 49D,
Right.
after listing 4 conditions that the board can consider for giving a longer period of protection, it says, provided that if the design standards have been revised, such revised standards may govern.
Clarity at its best.
I was going to say, your guess is as good as mine.
That's what the book's so thick.
They might know.
Right.
It should say
So
shall.
we seek the period of protection as set forth in the ordinance, and we hope to never have to decide what that means, but we seek what protection or extended protection you can give us.
Would you be more comfortable, like, he's asking for 10, they're talking 7, something in between?
If you're not inclined to give 10, whatever number you might give, you would reserve the right for them to make a future application.
I think you tie it to the height of the pickleball court fence.
I was just saying 6. 6 doubles what it says. 6 doubles.
You can't have it both ways.
6, 7.
6, 7.
Yeah.
That case, I'll put in a 12-foot fence.
Yes, right. Well, that's the point, is that we'd be coming back for final on the other phases, but if those phases are 7 years from now,
So they want to be coming back for phase 2 for 7 years?
no, but probably there are 12 phases, so phase 6B, right, will be some period of time from now.
Well, I think if we give them 6 years, and when they're coming back, and if they're coming back for phase 12 in 7 years, they can ask for an extension, can't they?
I think we can put that in the ordinance, it reserves the right for them to ask for additional extensions.
Yeah. That'd be acceptable, thank you.
Thank you.
Six years, and they can ask for an extension, then we could say no if we wanted, that would be it based on us.
You want to open the phones?
Yeah. Are you guys,
We're finished.
are you guys good?
I just had one more comment, that they agreed to provide everything that we asked for under stormwater management.
Comply with your
That
letter,
section.
including stormwater.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll take a motion to open the public.
Hold on.
Well, I have a quick
He's
question.
almost done.
It's a question.
I had a quick question.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I just seek one point of clarity that was raised with me right before we got started, and it may require relief. I don't think it applies, and if it doesn't, it doesn't require relief. But if it applies, we seek relief, and I don't want to have to come back for it. So if you could just humor me for a moment. The applicant, when they filed their application, called out a potential waiver, or they requested a waiver, I should say, from Section 175-161.1B, which allows the following age and occupancy requirements. And according to my client, the ordinance limits the number of permanent residents in any one home in the senior community, it only applies to the senior community, to be no more than 3. To the extent that section applies, we seek a waiver or variance just to allow 1 additional persons, which we think is, we see that in our other communities. Mr. Goodwin, can you amplify briefly what
Just
the
to be
reason?
clear, in the letter that was attached to the application, there's actually a request for deviation from 4 of those conditions under 1B, 1 through 3. You're only asking for 1, which is the limitation. The ordinance requires, and we'll discuss whether or not the ordinance applies, but the ordinance requires or limits the number of residents in an age-restricted home to 3. And you want to be able to have 4.
Right. So again, harking back to Whitehall Gardens, the language that was proposed in the cover letter here is the exact language that's in the resolution of approval for Whitehall Gardens. So this is not unique. And the reason that we want to have flexibility with the number of residents is just there's much more, even at the age-restricted, blended families coming in where I'll be very candid. We were able to sell houses to people, Whitehall Gardens, where a couple came in their mid to late 50s, and they wanted their parents to live with them. And they went to another community in Monroe at the time, and they were saying, sorry, we can't sell you a house because you have 4 permanent residents. And so they bought from us because we had that flexibility. Most municipalities don't have that 3-person limitation. And so when we're trying to sell against Woolwich or some of these other competitors, we're at a disadvantage if we can't, allow this more of a blended type family situation.
Let me read the ordinance to you quickly, and I want to make sure we're clear on the relief that we seek. And I should add that this is in Section 175-161.1, which is not in the redevelopment plan,
Right.
which supersedes the ordinance, and it's in the section of the ordinance that governs RGRA, Regional Growth Residential Age Restricted District, which is not the zone that we're in, which is why I don't think it applies. But the first condition is that permanent residents shall be at least 55 years of age, except that a spouse may occupy a unit together with his or her spouse who is at least 55 years of age. Quote, permanent residents, end quote, are defined as people who live in the units more than 30 days in any 12-month period, end quote. Do we seek relief from that language, Mr. Goodwin?
Yeah, we wanted to do it more than 90 days in a 12-month period.
As opposed to 30?
Correct.
Okay. And why do you want the extra 60 days briefly?
Well, because the blended family works in the other direction with maybe college students coming home, parents are 50, 55, and they're, have younger kids. So again, it's for that blended family situation.
Okay. Condition number 2 in that ordinance states, quote, a maximum of 1 child, 18 years of age or older, may reside as a permanent resident with his or her parent or legal guardian, end quote. Do you seek relief from that language?
Very minor relief. We're saying that no child under the age of 19 may reside. I think the ordinance might
18.
actually permit 18.
Correct.
Right. So we want that language. I believe that's consistent with what DCA
Well,
defines
the
as.
ordinance says a maximum of 1 child 18 or older may reside
Right.
as a permanent resident. What relief do you seek?
Just that we want to say that no child under the age of 19. So if you have 2 30-year-old kids, or you have a son and his wife who are, between houses or something, that they'd be able to live there with the parents.
All right. And then third, quote, no more than 3 permanent residents shall occupy any one unit, end quote. You want that to be 4?
4, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ask Chris if he's got a comment on that.
I do have some comments. I've got 1 comment and 3 or 4 jokes, so I'm waiting like 4 hours to get these jokes out now. All right, so my
Skip the
opinion
jokes.
is, as I agree with Mr. Del Duca, this does not technically apply. That section of the code that they had requested the waiver from is for a district which is not referenced in the redevelopment plan, as well as the underlying zoning of this redevelopment plan, the Orchard Drive redevelopment area is the R2 zone. And this section of the code is specific to the regional growth RA district, so it would apply to that district alone. But since it was brought up, and since it is in their letter of requested relief under the no-take-back doctrine, I believe they do have to be granted that relief now, that they put it forward, they can't take it back. I was curious about the 4 residents rather than 3. Is that based on the Golden Girls, that the show really wouldn't work if Sophia wasn't there? So you gotta have all 4 of them in the house?
Yeah, well, we don't want to kick Blanche out either, so, yeah,
All right, Chris.
it'll work.
It's getting
All right,
late. It's getting dark outside.
Yeah. That's my one comment. I don't believe that section applies, is the short version of it.
Okay. Well, that works for us. We just want to be protected, because again, it is something that our customers, that be able to have 4 people in a home there is
Yeah,
very
'cause if
impactful.
not, you might have to say, Mom can come, Dad has to go to the nursing home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I was a caretaker to 2 parents,
Yeah,
and I would have a 2 a picked.
Okay, this,
Sorry, opinion, I should
Stay
have
on.
said
No,
that.
I mean, it is difficult with families sometimes, and we want to have as much flexibility as possible, but it sounds like this doesn't apply, which is
So we're all
fantastic.
good.
Yep.
can I have a motion to open the public?
I just had a quick question, real quick. The commercial lots, I noticed driving by there, they're currently look like they're being used as storage for equipment. Is that not, I don't know if that's true or not, but is that the future plan at all, possibly, if that ever falls through for commercial, that they're going to be used as storage?
No, that is not our intention. As soon as we get in there and start moving dirt and start selling the stuff that is, in the commercial area, in that area that Eric's pointing to, that's all going to get removed.
Okay.
Are you looking at building strip stores there type of thing, or?
Honestly, we don't know. I mean, we would love it to be, coffee shops and things that the community could walk to, but we just don't know right now.
Okay.
It's not going to be, just so we're clear, it's not going to be equipment storage, right? It's going to be commercial, just not like.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
will have to come before this
Yeah,
board.
yeah. And it won't be a data center, I can promise you.
Oh, gosh.
All right, next.
Okay, public.
Open to the public. I'd like to make a motion to open the public.
Motion to public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would anybody from the public like to speak on this topic? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to close the public.
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, if a member of the board were so inclined to make a motion to approve the application for amended preliminary approval and final major subdivision approval, I would recommend that it be conditioned on an revision of the landscape plans to eliminate reference to invasive species and to adjust the species selection to the satisfaction of the board's staff, that fencing be included on the large-scale basin to the west, and accepting the obligation for fencing in and around the age-restricted portion of the community, that the fencing to be 4-foot-high, black on black. The applicant is requesting design waivers as set forth in the Collier's letter. The applicant, those waivers would be granted consistent with the testimony they've offered today, and they will otherwise comply with the recommendations in both the planners and engineers letter, with the one exception being the height of the pickleball fence to be 6 feet. And finally, the request for an extension of the approval under 175-83B would be approved up to 6 years, reserving the right to make supplemental and additional applications under that same section.
Would somebody like to make
Make a
that
motion to approve, Kozak?
Second it?
We'll have roll call vote.
Mr. Kozak?
With the help of our professionals, the conditions listed by our attorney, yes.
Mr. Scardino?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Frederelli?
Yes.
Mr. Hessel? Okay, you're approved.
Thank you all very much.
As always, a good job.
All right, we're going. Okay, public portion, I'd like to make a motion to open public.
Motion to open up public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would anybody from the public like to say anything? Being none, I'll take a motion to close the public.
Motion to close. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, well, I need an approval of the minutes of April 19th, 2026.
Motion to approve minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
None.